Falcons, but that is okay. Through the last 3 years, every single team that has lifted the hammer has started their playoff run with a loss. Part of becoming an SI champion is learning along the way. It's about making mistakes and growing as a team. Given that stat I mentioned, the superstitious fans amongst our viewers might be hoping for a loss for their favorite team in this game, but the lower bracket is terrifying, and even though it's given success to many teams over the last couple of years, it has taken away far more tournament runs than it has delivered champions. So both Falcons and Shopify Rebellions are hoping to avoid such a fate. We begin on Consulate, and frankly, one of these map pools that Shopify Rebellion have either created the greatest fumble of all time, or have really been putting in some work and have brought a sneaky map veto to the series versus Falcons. And yeah, I give a little bit of credit to the two-time world champion and Super. I think they've been cooking, Parker. Consulate and Fortress, our first two maps, only one play across both maps from Shopify Rebellion since the season began. This is dangerous for the Europeans.
Yeah, but I mean, as the Des pointed out, sometimes you save it all for the biggest moments and hard pressed to find a bigger moment than the beginning of this run. Again, I guess a bigger moment would be playing on main stage, maybe something for that pivotal best of 5, should you make it to the grand finals, of course. But with these teams being in the upper bracket, they know that they cannot go down to play up against teams like G2, D+, Daystar, Heretics, OXG, and Ninjas in Pajamas. Yes, those teams are in the lower bracket for a reason, and that reason is because they just simply weren't good enough. But you still have to be concerned with them, especially with the consistency issues that these two teams have had. It's about managing expectations. And if you are a fan of these teams, your expectation is that you will win. We can only have one winner. So, which one comes out on top?
Wow, the Desk likes to highlight kind of the star players on both these teams. Shaiko and Spoit will be going head-to-head in this series. Two teams, two players that I know the community is excited to see popping off, but they've had very different journeys. Obviously, Spoit has not performed to the level that we have come to expect from him at the Six Invitational. Meanwhile, Shaiko, you heard Leo say it on the desk, second highest rated player at this event, and it's very close. It's less than a single point on the EPS ratings to that first place spot. So Shaiko has been playing very well for the Falcons so far. He opens things up on the Flores and actually is holding the diffuser for this top floor execute on Consulate. So it'll be very interesting to see if he does stick that. A CEO plant with the Capitao does look doable, but we've also got pressure towards the admin side now coming in from the Falcons.
Solotov will be main entries, so yeah, he'll be the first one to come to blows. But Shaiko, the man on the screen, is chasing not just a hammer, but another record, Jesse. He is fast approaching 1,000 kills at the Six Invitational, and barring an utter implosion, he will likely hit it in this series. First kill is going to go to Solotov. Down goes Rexen seconds after you saw him open up that panel towards the bomb site. And already, Falcons have an early pick.
Long angle from the balcony, gets that shot. Rexen caught lacking a little bit, not aware of the angles open up onto him. Early advantage now for the Europeans. The Utsil game has gone well as well. Puts a lot of pressure on young guys like Ambi to step up and make an aggressive play to try to get this count back.
You've got double denial in the smoke and the Tachanka on the board, so Rebellion very easily could shut this one down. And while he might be dead, Rexen's volcano canisters will continue to do some damage when they get popped, running for 20 seconds, buying time for this Rebellion team. Uses on the board next. Down goes Ambi. He was playing over by Vending, and Shaiko now taking some damage himself, as does Solotov, but nothing to be found. Surf tucked into a corner where we've seen a couple clutches up to this point. It's now Shaiko over by Long Dick, searching for something with just a little under a minute.
Both Smoke and Tachanka can deny this plant for a very long time. They do take down the Tachanka, but Falcons will still need to press for kills.
There goes one of your denial as the Tachanka dies after getting one kill for Canadian, who's been much better for fragging potential. Play going down by Brede. Shaiko watching with coverage. Leaky Fact has not been much of a factor yet. A missed opportunity from Spoit as Shaiko finds his second. Now 3 players remain. Spoit a nice shot onto Shaiko. The leash is off, and Spoit can be a wild dog to chase these last players from Falcons. Has to manage time effectively. Wasn't a factor for most of the round, but he gets the final kill. Nicely done for Leaky Fact, and Falcons take round 1.
Yeah, and a really good round, I think, coming out from Falcons. They obviously come through with a couple of early picks, a couple of players not maybe watching the right directions, getting caught through windows, getting caught from that admin position as well. Once it's in that two-man lead, it's really tough for Shopify Rebellion to walk away with a win con. They have to juggle keeping their guns up to keep their players alive while also juggling the plant denial. Canadian did his best there. I thought he and Surf, the support players in Shopify Rebellion, were their brightest stars, but in the end, there was just too much pressure. Falcons did a great job of continuing to push while that defuse kit was being put on the ground, continuing to grab that space and make their way across the map. Very nicely done coming out from Team Falcons. They get an early lead on Consulate, which attacking is usually very difficult to do.
Yeah, a little surprising with how easy that looked for Falcons. They took a bunch of individual gunfights and broke open part of that map and made it so that the Rebellion were much farther back inside the site. Fighting from your back foot is never really a strong position to be in. Rebellion understood that. But again, if what the desk says is to be believed, and I believe it, because why wouldn't I? This might be a rough go for Rebellion. I do like the next two maps for them, though.
Yep.
I do like that we go to Fortress. North America has come in prepared on Fortress, and they have put the entire world on notice. And then Nighthaven Labs might be one of the statistical best maps for this Rebellion team. We've seen the Falcons play it a few times, Jesse, but dare I say it, not against particularly tough opposition so far.
Sure.
Hard to glean whether or not that will ultimately be a good map for Falcons, or if SR will have a very decided upper hand.
Shaiko always loves his drone operators, and after Flores in round 1, he moves to the Brava in round 2. Does a great job hacking some of Sport's Denari tripwires, so going to give a little bit of an advantage over towards the Falcons. This clash will reveal itself from Canadian. Up on the top floor, they get some pings on it. They also ping out Ambi on the Malusi, who's trying to take advantage of the space Canadian can try to make top floor. There is no Shopify Rebellion players on that mid floor actually locking down the site. It is a 5-man hold on the top floor at the moment. Which means Liquefact, if he does head towards site, could find a bit of a gap. Obviously, getting a plant down when the enemy still has control of above the site is nearly impossible on Piano. You typically have to go pretty crazy with smokes, Capital bolts, shields, all that, and Falcons don't really have the util.
Solotov took down Rex in round number 1 and looked very close to happening yet again, but it's Shaiko who's spotted by Surf above. The first blood on the side of Rebellion is pretty good. They have intel on Rexon. They'll now head over towards Long Desk. That was Spoit who was spotted there, swatting away at the drones. EFAC in pursuit. Out will go the Bees as well, and the Swede looking to get away, playing this tight angle. Old Willie surviving for the time being. Rexon's been found and punished. Solotov gets 2 for his troubles. Surf swings on over. That was the smoke, credited with the first kill, looking for the assist. Unless Rexon can be retrieved, that's an advantage for the Birds.
Nice shot by Ambi, though. Gets things back closer to even. Still 3-on-3. The down's finished, and Ambi gets another one. So Shopify Rebellion steal the man count advantage. The Malusi of Ambi from inside CEO, peeking around this reinforcement, finding those frags, putting his team in a really nice spot. Now you get in an awkward position if you're Falcons. Do you commit to try and clearing this top floor up against the Clash, up against Ambi, who's been incredible this round, or do you just go to hit the site? I do not think they can get a plant down, Parker, so I feel like they have to clear top, but that's not easy either.
Yeah, things fell away in a hurry. Ambi gets a very streaky set of kills throughout much of this event, and well, he's shown up to match up against these fraggers. The front line, as they were called by the desk. Usis and Liquefact now will walk on in, but Canadian will give these calls. Tucked into the corner, Usis will look for a relatively default plant spot. EFAC with 1, Ambi with 3 kills. And it's the Goyo of Canadian that will actually get the job done, as that fire is too much for the Brit on Falcons to handle. Tie game between these two.
Really cool Goyo canister. The edge of it just barely enough to stop that plant, so really nicely placed coming out from Shopify Rebellion. Smart to move Troy back down onto that bomb site. He was going up and down those yellow stairs throughout the entire round, Parker. Started up top, dealt with the roamers a little bit. When Shaiko was lurking in sight, Canadian came back down, as you can see on your screen here in the replay. Then Canadian moves back up to the top floor to try to assist Ambi to get a couple of these really high-impact kills, like this one right here. Bit of information being fed by Canadian, and then right at the end, Canadian goes back down to make sure they have somebody on site. They cannot just let Usis sneak that alone. Falcons, I think, did the best they could, splitting up, 1 up above, 1 down on the ground floor, but in the end, Shopify Rebellion are just too good. So, nice little tied game, 1 apiece. I think we're in for a long series, Parker.
Stark contrast with the earlier matches that were played that just concluded. Here on Stream A, for those of you that did not watch, obviously spoilers inbound, Furia and Heretics did battle, and it was a relatively fast 2-0 for the Brazilian squad, 7-4-7-2. And now Team Heretics goes down to the lower bracket to square off against OXG. Tomorrow, you and I will actually be casting that game.
Yes.
And then D plus Kia, the APAC team comprised entirely of Brazilians, did not have the greatest outing against their former counterparts. Though map number 1 was pretty close, Fluxo W7M taking map 1 8-7, but then a blowout, 7-2 for the former Montreal Major champs. And now Fluxo W7M will square off against another Brazilian team in FaZe Clan later today. Furia and Weibo will be a fascinating matchup. That'll be going live shortly. The winner of this game will be in action yet again against Team Secret. So a long match here and a quick match after that means you might be right back in action against a terrific team. Ambi will start things off as Solitov dies. Ambi now at 4 kills, 3 of them, all in the previous round, and the youngster is showing up really strong. Spoit and him will now look for the double swing over by Vendings. There goes Leaky Fact. There was nowhere for the Dokkaebi to go, and this round has already fallen by the wayside for Falcons.
Boy's got some history at the top of Spiral, one of his cleanest aces that he's had in pro play last year at SI, coming from that very spot, so knows exactly what needs to be done to make those plays happen. Canadian on that pulse, able to give a lot of good information, of course, with all the intel that SR have. They've been really clean at spotting these players on Falcons early, once again giving themselves a massive man advantage, in part due to the heroics of Ambi. So very clean start from the entry duo of Shopify Rebellion. They very much knew Falcons were going to pick this map, Parker. They came into this, they left it open. It is their permaban, but they decided we're going to leave it as an option for Falcons to pick. Falcons have taken that gamble. They want to take Shopify Rebellion to this map. So far, the defenses have looked very clean from SR.
Very, very good. But again, Consulate defense. We have to set reasonable expectations here, Jesse. We don't want to trip over ourselves too much. We already get called NA homers enough, even though I tend to cheer against North America more frequently than not.
Fair enough.
NA viewers are having a good time because it's Shopify Rebellion in action right now, and over on the B stream, you've got the all-NA matchup of Space Station versus M80. The winner of that game will play wildcard, so an endless NA bracket, it seems, on that side.
Yeah, no NA teams going home just yet. Good information for Canadian. Once again, I mentioned this before. His pulse is going to be so huge to stopping this plant for it to go down. You've got to be careful, though. Which one is actually the planter? Already 50% now from Bride.
I think he's got the read on it, and he gets it right as it was about to hit the point of no return, which would have thrown them in to a post plant. Now it's Uses to pick up the case. Shaiko watching the stairs, but Ambi's just so damn good. Uses shuts him down. He's concerned with the sweep up Spiral. That's the first kill for Falcons. It comes with 15 seconds left in the round. 4 more players upright, and they're just going to play keep away. Rexon swings out with the super shorty. That looked clinical by Rebellion. This is a team that really didn't look like the same squad we saw in phase number 1. A lot of confidence here for the North Americans.
No, they're looking very good today, Parker, and of course it all comes back down to the IGLing from Canadian, the information being gathered on the pulse. Troy's been doing stuff like this for 10 years straight at this point, okay? If there's anybody you trust to lock down a pulse C4, it's gotta be Canadian, so really nice stuff there. Also, you gotta give credit to Ambi. That second gunfight that he won just on the server stairs was so clean, Parker. I mean, advantage should have been to Shaiko in that one, but Ambi has been one of these young fraggers who's really popped off for quite a while now on SR.
Okay, guys, just pause it because same time, I know our defense is really good. I feel like we can start bringing Demonte. I feel like the worst thing they can do is just starting play really aggro, no? I feel like if you're attacking S5 is good for us because they're kind of bad at retake, you know? They can't regain space. For CO, we can do admin again. I feel like was good. Just watch out the effect, like pulse below or just the guy retaking. You can even double up Spiral and just push there. For Piano, like they have full setup above, no? We can either just push above, just do the first farm push, no? Yeah, I feel like if it goes low again, it's bad. They're gonna go again, a lot of traps, so just do some more fast stuff, okay, on Piano. Yeah. And then remember, we have the Dokkaebi demo, so even if you wanna go slow, we can like speed it up in the round, okay?
Talking about how quickly this Rebellion team plays is not something you usually hear associated with them, especially when they're defending.
Yeah.
But Julio did say one thing importantly, we have a good defense. Don't worry too much yet, guys. But clearly using the timeout now shows that the coach side of Falcons do not like the way the team has started.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I also think it's fair to say maybe he has some confidence that he could be seeing more, Parker. He wants to see those shields coming out, maybe a little bit of Monty for some of these attacks. Believes that Falcons can get 2 or 3 rounds on this attacking half, despite the fact that this is maybe a defender-sided map. This is obviously part of their game plan, choosing this Consulate map coming into it against SR. Good attack timeout coming out from Julio, of course. He's been coaching this team ever since they got signed by the Falcons org, was coaching them for a little bit back on BDS as well, so there's a lot of experience with this team. Taken over as the new head coach, now standing behind them, as I believe the last Six Invitational, it was still Stuflex behind them, yes. So they made that swap kind of at the start of this season, and I think Julio's been a big impact for Falcons to allow them to have so much success this season.
Yeah. I mean, Julio is a brilliant player. He's been all over the world. He's played in a bunch of different regions. He has lifted a hammer and himself won a Pro League Finals on that Black Dragon squad. If you recall, he was formerly a player on that W7M roster right when they kind of, I don't want to say invented the aggressive roam that we saw where defenders were playing like attackers, but that like eye-watering 76% opening kill and defender win rate. And then, of course, winning a hammer with Nip. Before that, a double swing, a nice kill from Solotov. Ambi could not get out with his life intact. He's shut down by Leaky Fack in that position. That aggression that Julio pinpointed through the first 3 rounds, still present for round 4, but it does not do the Rebellion enough as Falcons come out ahead in those trades.
Yeah, it's Trade City up at the top of Spiral Stairs, Parker. Really clean by both teams, but just that entry frag gets a little bit better for Falcons. Now, they've gotten themselves an advantage. This top floor was where they were successful previously, attacking here on what is supposed to be the hardest bomb site to attack on Consulates. Vending Hall, usually the main stall point for teams when they're clearing admin side over. That's what we're seeing once again from the Falcons. But the early pick onto Rexing kind of makes me think that this Vending Hall will become a little bit more free. Canadian has had to rotate from Yellow Stairs over to this part of the map. Now it's very obvious where the push is coming through. Got to be a little bit careful with this Clash Shield because being hunted down by the Flores drones does not want to let that thing get blown up. But Canadian's better than that, dodges it a little bit, and all of the util in Vending Hall has now been cleared, with Canadian choosing to back off, play a little bit closer towards the bomb site. This will be free for Falcons to take. They just need to get past Surf on the Tachanka, who will stall out the plant indefinitely if they don't.
Leaky Fack's position is known as he hits that Dread Mine. Down goes Spoit. Canadian Surf will now need to keep this one together. Surf taken out as Shaiko collects 2 very fast kills. EFAC again with the exit frag. And whether or not it was the timeout or frankly just this bomb site, Falcons managed to take 2 successful attacks, which is about where you want to be. The Grim Ban designed to slow down Solotov, make it so that they have to take a more jack-of-all-trades utility op. Down go those secondary hard breach gadgets. Down go those Bs that are so good for scouting intel. As Julio said when he expected that Grim Ban, we still have the Dokkaebi, we still have the Deimos at our disposal, so we've got tools, guys, let's use them. Well, they used the Deimos, but we don't really get to see too much because of how early Solotov died, yet still, Falcons excellent at scouting those defenders and winning the round.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Parker, because I think the Deimos was so critical for Falcons to win this round. It's only 1 kill. He gets immediately traded out, but it sets the pace. It gives them the initial man advantage, and it opens the door for Leaky Fack to then go hit the flank, go towards the CEO side, make that pinch on the Shopify Rebellion players, which you really don't want when you're playing on the Clash. So that entry frag and the follow-up from it, I think, was so important to come through from Falcons. And the Death touched a little bit about how important Deimos was as an entry fragger in general this event. We don't really see Solotov picking that up because it is a signature operator for Shaiko. He grabs it now, but prior to this map, Solotov had only played Deimos 2 times through the Six Invitational group stage. He's not an easy operator. Sometimes you might wonder, okay, if you don't really play the op, are you even going to be a strong Deimos player? Clearly, Solotov has shown that he can be. They move it over to their other entry now as Shaiko will pick up that role once again, but you've got to be so careful if you're playing against this Falcons team because they have long been one of the best Deimos teams in the world. Shopify Rebellion have not chosen to use one of their bans on it, so will be an issue throughout this series.
Activating drone.
A 3-way tie for the Falcons now for most kills. Solotov's had some moments of brilliance. Shaiko himself got a 2K, I believe, in the first round, if memory serves correctly. EFAC already taking quite a bit of damage, but Ambi has as well. I said Spoit's been let off the leash, but it's really Ambi who's just running around wreaking havoc on this Falcons team. If Ambi spawns in and they allow him to play his game, he can easily take down anybody on this EU squad. Shaiko slowed down by Canadian now as he got maybe a bit too close to that top floor. Now reposition himself, staring towards the bomb sites. Ambi with 6 kills, leading the lobby, but with how limited his HP is, I don't know how many engagements he'll be able to take before he gets traded out by Falcons.
Yeah, we'll see. Certainly all you need is 1 HP to hit a couple of heads, and Ambi has done that before, so still potential from the young gunner on Shopify Rebellion. I like Falcons' lineup adaptations. SR are running basically the exact same defense we saw in round number 2, but Falcons have worked a couple new ops into their lineup, including the Capitao, which has been a really good operator on this bomb site. You can use the fire arrows to try to burn out some of those top floor positions, which can often make it possible to go for a plant whilst you do not have the top floor control. The smokes, of course, also always good when you're trying to make a plant happen. That nade will get tossed up, I think, aiming at the Goyo canister, which is what denied the plant in round 2. If that can get cleared out, then that would be a big help for Falcons when they try to work this plant down. I don't see them clearing top floor again.
I mean, Jesse, all 10 players alive with 40 seconds left. This is by far and away the slowest round. I do wonder how much of that is a lack of comfort for Falcons, but they found a pick number 1 on the Spoit. Bride shut down. Solotov trades out Ambi. Again, there you go. Ambi got that pick onto Bride, so only good enough for 1 kill, but again, if you're getting a single kill, that's pretty good. Falcons now attempting to get the diffuser down while they overwhelm this Rebellion team and outnumber them by 1. Solotov does not like this position. Stopped by Surf as that gas will linger. Now it's Rexon taking damage. EFAC going down 2. A sweep in from Canadian as he manages to down 2 players. EFAC and Use is still alive, but the defuse kit needs to be picked up as they are running out of time. Rebellion now hoping that they can't get it done. EFAC runs into the smoke, and the Rebellion will clip the Falcons' wings and take their 3rd round of this first half.
And Shopify Rebellion truly are the masters of plant denial on Piano Exhibition, Parker. I said it was the same defense from SR, and it basically was. The one swap of operators that they made, which I neglected to mention, was that Surf moved from Warden onto the smoke, and that made all the difference. Whilst the Goyo canisters were still there and Falcons adapted to them, SR expected those Goyos to not be enough to deny the plant. So they said, Surf, jump on another plant denial operator. He's clearly practiced those lineups, tossing the Toxic Babes through the floorboards. Has managed to stop that default plant spot from going through. I believe a triple from Surf in that round. So really nice stuff coming out from, again, the support players of SR. Canadian doing a great job moving on that clash as well. The reason Canadian's able to swing out and get those 2 kills is because of Surf's Toxic Babe denying the default plant. It makes it a much more awkward position for Falcons to have to play. So really good coordination and really good small adaptations coming out from Shopify Rebellion.
Both of these teams came into this matchup having played 99 rounds through phase number 1, and Shaiko came in chasing 2 records. Number 1, breaking 100 kills at SI this year. Now, there was a period of time where Shaiko looked like he'd be able to clear that hurdle during phase 1, but he cooled off. The rest of the team caught up, and despite the fact that Shaiko is inarguably the top fragger on the team, he has 93 kills, 11 back is Solotov, and then you have to go down to Leaky Fac at 69 after that. There's a huge gulf between Shaiko and the rest of his team.
Yeah.
Shaiko started with 93 kills. As you see, he's sitting at 98 currently. And he's also just a few kills shy of 1,000 total at the Six Invitational. I believe it was Souls who hit that mark just 2 days ago. So these are incredible legacy records for some really tenured and experienced players that will almost certainly be hit. I mean, I guess there exists a possibility Shaiko doesn't hit 1,000 kills. You'd basically have to unspawn every round for the foreseeable future. So we'll keep our eyes on that stuff. In terms of the Shopify Rebellion squad, far more even. Their lowest amount of kills is Canadian at 59. Their highest is Surf at 78. So not a big difference between bottom and top. An even spread, whereas Falcons, Shaiko's been carrying the way. First kill is going to come to EFAC as Solotov gets dropped. Shaiko actually credited with the kills, so I imagine that EFAC just got the secure on that one.
Shaiko opening on a Canadian, Lickyfac's second frag onto Rexon, so really strong start from the French squad. Making their way in through Garage, they were able to shut down this Pulse very early into the rounds, and they think it's safe enough to pick up Saltov. They should be correct. Ambi is lurking nearby, but he has a floor below, so it shouldn't be a problem for them. The push is coming in through the basement. Very different look from the Falcons. They know they can't get a plant down inside of the mid floor as they did attempt previously, so why not clear through this basement and take the fight?
Spoit takes down Solitop, but the guns from Falcons are good! Shaiko will hit kill number 100 at this event to give the final round of this first half to his team. And on their own map, on the harder side, Falcons muster a draw with the Rebellion. That is, well, I want to say that's about as good as it gets, but I mean, technically they could do better than that. But if you're expecting more than 3 attacking rounds on Consulate, you know something I don't.
Yeah, I think you're happy with this if you're Falcons. You're not out of the woods just yet. Keep in mind, Shopify Rebellion still have their tack timeout. Falcons do not. So that could play a factor through this second half. SR have also let this map through for a reason. Previously, they're permaban. They have come to Consulate. They have allowed Falcons to choose it in what is a risky move for them, for sure, but one that they thought they were ready to take. They'll come through, they ban out both the Warden and the Solus. Now, a Warden ban is always something I raise my eyebrows at, Parker, because it telegraphs to your opponents a little bit what you might be going for. And if you just look at the operators on your screen, where we see a Blitz, a Glaz, a Capitao, they might not stick these, of course, for round 1, but I think you will see a lot of these operators coming through these next 3 rounds until Falcons get a chance to ban some of them out. Shopify Rebellion want to limit the visibility on Falcons. And it shows to me that they've got some pocket strats that they've probably saved just for this occasion.
I want to go back and just highlight that smoke play that we saw from Surf. Already getting reports that this is some of the first tech that we've ever seen on that. With his lineup upstairs, because the power that Capitao has to isolate the players that are playing on that bomb site and prevent them from swinging on the spot that I believe it was Uses trying to get Diffuser down. Surf having that lineup, that is ingenuity, that is incredibly creative. And it's something that we haven't seen before. I'm sure it's probably been played at a T3, maybe T2 level, but actively at T1, it's got some of the co-streamers wagging their tongues at how exciting it is.
I mean, Surf has been one of the smartest players through this entire Six Invitational. Of course, he had that famous Sentry clip where he uses the beeper to bait out the Thatcher EMP before tossing out the Nitro Cell. One of the coolest clips we've seen at this Six Invitational. So,
famously not a mistake.
No, and so we've seen some really cool stuff coming out from Surf since this tournament began. One of the most underrated players I think we have here at the Six Invitational. So keep an eye out for him to make more cool plays. Just on the Twitch drone now, but it's his teammate of Canadian who is battling with Lickyfac on the Visa window.
Best rated player on the Rebellion and highest kill totals, sporting a very fashionable +12 before a single round of this series was played. I remember when Surf was yanked up to Tier 1, was it 2 years ago? And we had never really heard of him before. People were a little surprised, but boy oh boy has he made a name for himself. And I mean, with what Ambi's doing, everybody else is having to fight desperately for kills on the side of Shopify Rebellion, but you always know Surf's going to be in contention for most frags, round after round.
Canadian might be about to die. No, Lickyfac gets his position up, so he shows exactly where he's at. Takes a lot of damage to the soft wall, actually. Rexon dealing some bullets into the body of Lickyfac, but he still maintains his position despite the phone ringing. They are all trained on this spot. The Glaz is staring through the smoke. But Lickyfac's played this smart so far. He completely backs off, Parker.
It's a very direct hit on that part of the map, and a lot of players lined up on the side of Rebellion.
Reloading.
Can't be too disconnected from the push if it's going to be a very linear clear, and it does look like, with the exception of Surf and Ambi, the rest are all focusing very heavily on the basement. At some point, Ambi and Surf will link up with the rest of the team. I get maybe a bit worried here that your 2 best fraggers are disjointed, but down goes Shaiko at the hands of Surf. Now Ambi has an opportunity on Spiral as well. Not gonna find anything just yet. Canadian gets baited in by Lickyfac. And Solotov has now worked his way up to catch the cross too. This is a great response from Falcons.
Yeah, they've done a great job of grabbing the defuse kit. Now another body for the captain of Falcons. He gets the 2-piece and the man advantage now for Falcons. They can hit the site. Spoit's got some smokes to play with, but in the end, without the defuse kit, does it even matter if Spoit gets kills here? I don't think so.
It's going to be a strong position for Spoit to be in, but yeah, you've been limited in numbers. Again, Ambi and Surf still remain, so there is some hope. Ambi holds the defuse kit, and with limited HP, that's a little concerning as there are impacts and nitros still on the board for Falcons. Ambi is tempting fate here, though, and Breeday's waiting for him. 3 players in on this active uses with 2 kills. Leaky Fact, yet again, another exit kill for the captain. And they'll go to the lead now for Falcons as they are successful in their very first defense.
Despite the Warden ban, I should say, the Glass pick coming out from Shopify Rebellion, not really finding the value that it needed to. They went for a push server side, 2 players upstairs, clearing through kind of piano and mid-spiral. Felt like they had something going there. Felt like they could have gone for that link up, but I think Licky Fac's positioning on those spiral stairs really catching SR off guard. Down in that defuse kit, wasted so much time, and then you're not really able to distract to get that Glass in through yellow. All eyes are still focused on that direction. A little bit discoordinated coming out from Shopify Rebellion. A really strong defense from the Falcons. Keeps us tight here on map 1.
And how well would have that round gone for the Rebellion if they'd managed to get EFAC in his position early, right?
Yeah.
That would have given you server control so much faster. It would have required somebody on the side of Falcons to rotate to cover that position more aggressively or just outright give it up. Those are both bad options. Maybe somebody on Falcons rotates through cafeteria to be a bit more active on that hallway. If not, you try to rely on utility. Who knows? Maybe they assess that the numbers aren't there and they send somebody up to roam earlier, which gives Ambi and Surf more pressure, but a potential extra kill. Dominance, right? If one player goes down, all the other remaining players need to respond in some capacity. And don't kid yourself, not changing anything is a response. So who knows what happens with Falcons? Rebellion just a little disjointed to get EFAC in his position earlier, and it allows him to just tear through them. And I think he got 3 kills in that round. But again, hard to tell which ones he got himself versus were secured by other players. A terrific round for the captain, and he's grabbed the lead in the server and on his team. That's a terrific spot to be.
Spoit bringing out the Zero, one of the least played operators of the Six Invitational, was brought 10 times through the group stage. So if it wasn't played earlier on today, this will be the 11th time we see this information up. Can be good to get some intel. Of course, we saw him throwing it into the skylight, use it on the hard breach wall here as well. If there were some kind of meat jammers or something, could have popped those out, but can just use it to get a little bit of information, not seeing anything directly in the breach.
And nothing to do with the operator himself, but a nice bit of lore. It sure looks like Zero's about to get a friend in the game, as the new operator reveal will be coming the weekend of the Six Invitational. Canadian dying early yet again is a very bad sign for Rebellion. He was not as effective on the Blackbeard as he wanted to be, and now he's been counted on the Blitz with 2 minutes left to go in the round. Not the start you want for the North Americans. Falcons given a huge boon from that one.
Yeah, and the shield dropping the diffuser once again here. Another problem for Shopify Rebellion is they will have to pick it up. Ambi's not too far away, but he's currently being stalled out by smokes at the top of yellow, so he looks towards the bottom to see if anybody's pressuring his flank. Nobody at the moment coming that way. Gonna move over to bathroom and maybe try to find a back angle onto Breeday, who has been smoking him out, but Breeday is very deep still over towards CEO.
Oh, that spiral stairs is worrying. Ambi walks right into Solotov's waiting arms. Didn't drone it at all. Rebellion getting a little bit too antsy at this point in time, and their lack of information is coming back to bite them. This is why Consulate is known as a defender fortress. And no, I'm not talking about the map we're going to see next. I'm talking about how grim things can get. No, I'm not talking about the operator. I'm talking about how bad things can get for the attackers. So far, a real lack of power from this Rebellion team. Uses tearing through Surf. Spoit manages a desperate kill, but Solotov is there in a massive round for Solotov. As Falcons are soaring, 5-3 the scoreline. I would not be surprised if this prompts a timeout from the Rebellion.
Yeah, we'll take a look to see if that does come through from SR. They now lost both of their attacks through this group stage.
Too much there now.
Go ahead. No, can't hear him.
Can't hear you. Can't hear.
They can't hear me.
No, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay. Guys, we're doing too much standing around. Also, when we're counting shit down, if you're not ready, you need to say we're not ready. It needs to be 3, 2, 1. We're all going at once. It's very staggered. To be honest, we need to stop playing like pussies.
Okay.
Right? If we have gaps on the site, like they're contesting us like 3 basement right there, there's one spiral. One, make sure we're listening, because 2 people died to spiral. We were calling the guy spiral the whole time, but just and make sure we're specifying lower spiral. But just in general, guys, we got to get moving. We got to look for gaps. If they're running to fight us, that means part of the map is free. They're running a lot of traps. Maybe bring Twitch, things like that. Also, we need to play into our bands. We're not like trying to rush site or anything. We're just going very slow, doing this shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to be heard for 10 seconds, but Super, the master of efficiency, gets it all out in 35 seconds, what many teams take 45 or longer to do. Sometimes you go a little bit over that 45 seconds just to squeeze in a second or two, and that can make all the difference. He's not Brazilian.
No.
But if you hear the Brazilian rap gods do their timeouts, Lugones, Romalia, etc., the amount of words they spit out in 45 seconds makes me blush.
Well, and he wants to see the team move a little bit more, too. I think we're seeing that with SR stalling out a little bit on some of these clears. Also playing toward the bans was the last thing he said in that attack timeout, but it's something that we've been talking about this whole half is they banned out the Warden. In theory, that needs to be kind of what they're playing around. They banned out the Solus as well, so they've got some ideas on how they want to play with this. We have seen the Glaz every round so far. I don't think it's really been able to make a big impact for Shopify Rebellion. It was really Saltov that shut down that top floor roam clear for Falcons in the previous round, and Saltov has maybe had an inconsistent group stage. He had his worst map of the season up against Wildcard back on Wednesday, just to go 14 through 8 rounds to finish the groups against Daystar. So has had some really high highs, some low lows as well, but 8-6 leading his team nearly with 1 frag still being led by LickyFat. He's been very strong so far for the Falcons.
I suppose you expect every player to have a not a career game, but at least a little bit better performance than what you saw in Phase 1. Pressure starts to build on every team. At this point in time, a reminder that the loser of this series goes down to the lower bracket. They are not gone. They are not eliminated. The winner will have a very busy day as they have an incredibly formidable foe of Team Secret, who have been probably alongside Weibo the 2 best teams at this event so far. And if June wakes up choosing violence like he has done most days, boy oh boy, whether it's Falcons or Rebellion, you are going to have your hands full. So prep for this game and immediately prep to be in action later tonight.
This is going to be a round of utility, Parker. Goyo, Tachanka, Smoke, all being brought by the Falcons to try to secure map point up against the North Americans. Shopify Rebellion have brought a lot of tools as well. You've got the Grim, you've got the Sens, you've got the Capital, you've got this Glaz again with the Warden ban. So you've got a lot of tools to try to work with on the Shopify Rebellion side. They will start with an admin clear, and it's the MVP of round 8 who will be the first one to meet them, staring into Printer, sees the drone, and will likely back off with that information, although hungry for more anyways.
That's a hard gun to control, and Solotov removes Spoit and his head from the round.
Jeez.
A rough go of it for Spoit. The desk talked a little bit about Spoit's struggles, Leo particularly saying that it's because of his application via Canadians IGLing, but I mean, doesn't really matter. Spoit has millions of fans, and they are not going to be happy with this performance.
Glaz coming through from Surf. He saw somebody for a second there, but wasn't able to hit the shot on it. Smoked out and fired out by Brede. So this utility is now coming in from Falcons. So much anti-plant. That kind of forces Shopify Rebellion to adjust on the fly. They need somebody to go deep. They need somebody to work a pick. 4v5, this is not looking good.
And Rexton, who so far had a lot of troubles finding kills, that will persist. He manages to get Solotov. Solotov and LeakyFact topping Falcons at this point. 35 seconds remain, and LeakyFact is getting called back to the site. Down goes Canadian. Surf dropping Usis. Brede eliminating Surf, so the trade still favoring Falcons at this point. Brede's been most of a non-factor from a gun perspective, but you know how good he can be in a clutch. He might not need to clutch up because he's got 2 teammates here hunting for these kills. Rexton and Ambi standing against these European players. Falcons looking for the knockout punch in this round, moving to map point. Rexton will find yet another, but they need to get the diffuser in. Rexton will do just that. He's got all the kills so far. He'll have to suffer through the flames, and he gets knocked off of the spot. It does not matter if you still survive. Tachanka tucked into a corner will win the round for Falcons, and they'll move to map point.
And Brede, only a single kill through this map, Parker. It came in that round, but what an impact he had. Perfectly played with those Shamika grenades to stall out the plant for so long, and then right at 000, just has to guess where that plant is happening. Don't believe he had intel in the midst of that, unless there was a camera I didn't see, but perfectly places it. Rexton's on a sliver of health. He cannot stick the plant. Rexton, there's nothing he can do. another player who hasn't really been popping off in the kills. But for Bride, I mean, it's kind of par for the course. He's averaging just 4.4 kills per map since SI started. Bride has not been a heavy fragger, as he never really is for the Falcons, but he makes that up by being the SI leader in terms of defuse kits put on the ground, 13 heading into this game, and Plant Denial, obviously one of his strong points as well, playing at the Chonka, showcasing it in round 9. Really nice round to come through from Falcons. The utility game was perfect. I thought Rexon was maybe going to fire up this round. I thought this was his moment to step things up. He was in a really difficult spot because Licketback was behind him for so long down those Visa stairs. He gets both kills that he needs to, but forced off the plants. Nothing he could do on 000. Kind of needed Ambi to go deep there while the fire was coming out from Bride, but it didn't account for that utility coming through, and it's just going to be a round win for Falcons.
10 seconds to
A
go.
really valiant effort by Rexon, who, for his own sake and for his team's sake,
5 seconds left.
needed to find that next gear, because coming into that round 1 and 6, as the guy who admittedly is not having the single greatest SI he's had, and has been living in the shadow of Surf and Ambi, who've had a much harder deployment so far, Rexon needed something big. You look at his 4 and 6, you go, okay, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
3 of those kills came in the previous round, which ultimately was a loss. So once again, goes back to impact versus impactless frags. Rexon needs to step it up and might have to worry about map number 2.
Well, Rexon's always been struggling against Shaiko his whole career. He first met him in DreamHack Montreal 2019. He lost that game to Shaiko 2-1, and across his lifetime as a pro player has an 0-8 record when playing against Shaiko, largely on this Sonic/Rebellion core that they've been playing on. So this has long been a matchup that Rexon particularly has struggled with. The org, particularly the core of this team, has really struggled with this French powerhouse player that is Shaiko. And I mean, it's just happening again, Parker. The history seems to be repeating itself. Shopify Rebellion need to turn the tides if they don't want to go down 1-0 early in the series.
Again, the stakes: you win, you play Team Secret later today. You lose, you go down to play Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow. NIP has been an interesting team. They've had some signs of brilliance. They've had some incredible showing. Fantasy, at one point, competing with Joom for most kills at this event. So fragging comes easy on this NIP squad. But I mean, you never want to do a particular lower bracket run against a team that can get really, really hot, because when that NIP team is on, they can beat pretty much everybody here. Even if you want to go down to the lower bracket, because that's where most of the winners come from, you don't want to be one loss away from getting bounced from the event.
Of course, it's always the balancing act that you need to play at SI. Here comes the server side push from Shopify Rebellion. The glass was banned out, so they can't use that anymore. Still got Canadian on the splits, trying to work with some of the flashes, but it's Licketback who strikes first once again for the Falcons.
And the most consistent player is gone. Spoit will join as well. The captain of EFAC finding 2. He's as good as gone. Rexon the lone kill so far. Surf is miles away from the action, as we saw in previous rounds. His job is not to be linked up with the execute, but he's not linked up with anybody, least of all his life. An easy first map for Falcons. They showed a little bit of trouble through the first 3 rounds, but they called the timeout, they course corrected, and they dominated the rest of the way. They'll take their own map, 7-3.
And how about that 12 kills coming through from the captain? A massive performance from Licketback. He promised it after this last year's Six Invitational. He promised that they will come back stronger next year. As far as this playoff run goes, Parker, they're looking like it.
There was some speculation on the desk as to whether SR had studied for this map. They might, but it was not shown today. Falcons as cool as ever. And that's map 1 in the books. Fortress up next.
Now, even though they lost the game, Shopify Rebellion, I would say one of their key strengths is their communication, coordination, and team play. And I want to show you this round where it was perfect. This is what I want to see more of going into map 2. We roll the clip, what we're going to see is Ambi pick up a devious little pick onto the side of Solitov, 5 versus 4. But that's not where this round gets good. Where this round actually gets good is, you can see Liquefact here, up on the top spiral, and he is actually at the same time pushing him. You've got Spoit, Ambi, Canadian, and Rexon all at the same time. And is he going to win this fight out? No, is he not. He's going to just get absolutely gunned down. So Shopify, they've set themselves up now into a 5 versus 3. So what do? They give up all of the ground to Falcons. They let them have all of the map. Canadian makes the call for all of his team to now just clear off. Don't get refragged. Get back down to site. This is the split site on Consulate. So it's all about playing down into the late round. So what do Falcons do when they're in a 3 versus 5? Well, they make a decision to go for the plan inside of Tellers. Why is this important? Because it's playing into the hands of Shopify. You can see that you've got Ambi and Canadian, the 2 information operators on the Solace and on the Pulse. And anybody who's not directly relevant to denying the plant, which is Rexon, who's controlling the garage side and the hatch drop, Surf, who's controlling both of the hatch drops, and Spoit, who's controlling the spiral staircase for any Falcons players walking down. Well, they're just holding for the Falcons players, and Ambi and Canadian are all about denying the plant. Ambi first pings out the plant that's going down from the side of Falcons, and then gets an updated location, and then Canadian is going to get the C4 kill that turns it into a 5 versus 2. Now, for me, this is everything about what's great for Shopify Rebellion, is their initial entry game with Ambi, with Spoit, and then the communication and coordination that the team has. This is something that I want to see more of on the map of Fortress, and the desk will break it down for you.
And actually, we've got more examples of that. That was round 3, and beautifully explained by Jack. But if we look at round 5, they do the same thing. The win condition is, let's deny the plant late. If you look at this, it's 28 seconds left there on the piano exhibition bomb site, and you see Surf upstairs with a gas grenade, denying the plant the first time. Canadian is making himself forgotten here in piano with the clash, takes his gun out, and gets the 2 players that were walking in to try and replant again. And the problem is, Surf, you can hear it here with a fuse. He spams another gas grenade, which makes it impossible for the guys on Liquefact, for example, here to go and try and plant. He dies here through the smoke, and it was beautifully played by Shopify Rebellion. The problem, Anne, is you cannot win a game only by playing passive.
No, I hear you. I mean, this is maybe too passive on the side that they lost the map. It went the way of Falcons. And even their coach on the side of Shopify Rebellion was saying that, right? Super was agreeing. We're doing too much standing around.
And that's a big problem, because if the sole win condition is playing passive and slowly and steady, when you reach attack, you cannot win a single one. And that's the biggest problem we've seen. We've seen Falcons pick up on that. They started increasing the pacing, being more aggressive. And if Shopify Rebellion is the ice, they were the fire. They were melting that ice again and again. And when they reach attack, it was beautiful. 3 attacks won. When they reach defense, they get aggressive, and they abused the slow and steady pace of Shopify Rebellion. Now, they're going on to Fortress. It's a map on which they've played before, but they've barely lost it to Wildcard. To me, that's one map where you can even more punish the slow and steady pace. It's a newer map. Of course they're going to be slower. They're still figuring things out. So it's a big waking point for me for Shopify Rebellion. They need to be more aggressive. They need to change the pacing again, because right now all I see is I'm predictable.
All right, well, Falcons on the verge of making it into the upper bracket. There's many more teams that are doing that today, progressing in the upper bracket. Earlier on the B stream, W7M Fluxo versus D+, and Dev Marta has an update for us.
What's going on, A-Stream? We just wrapped up D+ Kia versus Fluxo W7M. A really grueling and promising series. It started off on Border, and man, D+ looked so strong. They won the first half, and then Fluxo took their tactical timeout. Norris beat something into his team, and 5 rounds in a row gave them a massive lead. D+ managed to come back, find 2 match point opportunities, but Fluxo W7M closed it in overtime in the aggressive fashion they always seem to. Moving on to Cafe, D+'s map pick. We thought maybe they'd be able to push it the distance. They've had some good results on that map recently, but Fluxo W7M completely ran away with it. Their defense is impenetrable, and their attacks were terrifying. 2-0 for Fluxo W7M. They're going to play FaZe later today on the B stream for a spot at the main stage at the Six Invitational.
Thank you for the update, Dev Marta, and we are going to continue with our game here because it's Fortress, the second map of this series with Antero and Jesse.
Thank you very much. Well, it was a relatively good first 3 rounds on map number 1 for SR, but it was Falcons all the way after that. The Rebellion now go to their map of Fortress. they have to mentally reset and shake off the drubbing they received on Consulate. Fortress has been a mainstay for North America. Does SR have what it takes to push this to another favorable map for them? Or is it the end of the road with Falcons flying high with a 2-0, Jesse?
Well, Parker, it's going to have to be something big from Shopify Rebellion. As you mentioned, we go to Fortress, a map that they tell me is in Morocco. I believe it's situated in Ohio because we have seen North American teams dominate on this map since SI started, practically unbeaten here on Fortress. Shopify Rebellion have yet to actually play it as an individual team. It was left up as the decider in their match versus G2, but that was a 2-0 clean win to start the tournament for SR. So they've never played this map in an official VOD. Consulate was a similar story. They had basically no footage. Falcons still were able to walk away with the win. Falcons need to be able to lock in and do much the same here on what is North America's best map.
They often call Ohio the Morocco of North America.
So many people say that.
I've heard it many, many times.
Yeah, well, listen, it's going to be an interesting one regardless. Falcons have chosen to ban out the Mira and Kaid. I've seen some really cool Mira setups here on Fortress. Some soft Miras, some hard Miras, of course, as well. You're always expecting to start on this top floor. We've seen the both bathroom and office site as well as the games and bunk site be highly favored by every single one of these teams. Then kitchen cafeteria has been relatively popular as that tertiary site. Shopify Rebellion ban out the Monty and the Grim. Those are both operators that are very good at pushing players out of positions. If you want to take map control, if you want to clear from the top side over from north to south or south to north, those are two operators that would be really good to do so.
Well, Rebellion's going to get to start defending on Fortress. This is a bit of an interesting one that Falcons want to go to attack. Every time Fortress shows up, Jesse, we always say, this is a map that looks like it will be very favorable to the attackers, but it's not quite there yet. Defenders, by far and away, have their day on this map. So Falcons have opted to go onto attack. Now, maybe that's because they want to start out on the weaker side so they can ride things out for the latter portion of the map once they've settled in. Or maybe Falcons know something we don't.
I think it's that Falcons truly believe in their attacks on this map. They played Fortress a few days ago up against Wildcard, and they did lose, but it took 15 rounds, and they won their attacking side 4-2. So we have seen Falcons put together some strong attacks on this map. Game theory-wise, most people are suggesting this will be attacker-sided once it gets fully figured out by all teams. So I think Falcons are trusting in their abilities to go for the pushes on this map. Now, they'll start on the south side, of course. They're trying to make this breach happen into bunks. They've been stalled out a little bit. The drones have been shot out by Spoit. We see the impact coming out as well to stop that bunks breach from fully opening up. It's Ambi and Spoit, the entry duo, who are holding down this bottom floor, and so far they have not let Falcons into the building.
One other thing to note as well, Rebellion are a terrific attacking team. So if you decide to shelve Rebellion from that more favorable side, the entry stats Rebellion across the board have been very good at this event. Maybe they'll struggle a little bit defending. I'm not entirely certain. Shaiko coming to blows. Both he and Ambi had terrific games, and yet they were not the two best players in the server. Ambi, to his credit, could very easily have been called the best player. On Rebellion, the previous map, it was all for naught, though. They only had 3 great rounds for Rebellion. Shaiko was standing in the shadows of EFAC and Solitaire.
Good to see Spoit opening up with a kill. He takes down Solitov. It was nice from Surf as well. Was playing that horse position on the Azami. Came down to help his roamers block off that main hall window to allow Ambi and Spoit, of course, to escape from that roam game. So they've delayed quite a bit of time now on the side of the Rebellion. They've gotten a man advantage, and they've fallen back and fully reinforced the bathroom wall. So there's no easy angle for Falcons to attack this site from. They've got good control of the south side of the map, but the time is really not fantastic. Just over 60 seconds still to go from here, and Bride has moved the defuse kit over to New Tower, over to Books, to try to get a plant down on the office side.
Now it's Canadian taking some damage, presumably from the fire of Leaky Pack that had been shot out from that Capitao. Again, Capitao, a terrifically strong operator, whether you want to run the DMR or the Para, both are good options. I'm a little surprised we don't see more of that brand new DMR in hand. You can do some substantial damage. DMR in the hands of Uses, though, as it's a double swing from Rebellion. My goodness, EFAC down, Shaiko down, Uses taking a beating, Bride left to his own devices, and now it's all up to the Brit of Uses in a 1v5. Technically, could have gotten EFAC up, doesn't get the job done. all around a terrific set of contributions from Rebellion as they take the first round.
And Parker, we've talked a lot about Spoit this day, and of course we always talk about Willie when he's on the screen because it's the guy that the fans love. Hasn't had the best tournament so far, but I think was instrumental in giving Shopify Rebellion that round win. Of course, got the opening pick out there on the roam, but then he kind of rotated over to play with Surf in that horse position once they'd given up the south side of the map, and in doing so, he was able to move around Surf, use the death mark that was being tracked, I believe, by Shaiko as bait. Shaiko tried to track down Surf, tried to make that push into Horse, and then instead of fighting Surf, it was Spoit who stepped up first to get that frag. It was really beautiful. This is the kill from Spoit I'm talking about. The second one there. Then he moves over. He's a bit of a distraction to let Ambi get that third kill in the hallway. And then from there, it's an easy cleanup from the supports of Shopify Rebellion. So really nice play coming through from Willie. Again, struggled so far this event. He has not had a positive map since December 13th, but this could be the one, given how he started the first round.
It's been a bit of a rough go for it for Spoit at every event since he won the Berlin Major. As he won it as a rookie, it was an incredible performance from all players on that Rogue team, but since then, Spoit has taken a bit of a more backseat role on these squads, whether it be because of Canadian, as Leo said, whether it was because of his time on Rogue, whether it was his time on M80. That M80 team did have some issues as a roster, so I don't think you can just pinpoint it or just pin it all on Spoit. But you know what he's capable of. You know that if given the tools, if given the leash, and if given the right role, he can still overpower just about any team. Just haven't really seen it materialize just yet. Eventually it gets to a point where he needs to be a bit more comfortable on his role, get the kills he needs. Even if it's not flashy, he can still contribute.
Well, he's picked up the anchor position. He's picked up the Azami to start things off here on the bottom, or on the top floor of Fortress for the second site. Still eager to get into a gunfight with Lickifak. Bride also taking a ton of early damage, but it's the French captain who does strike first. It'll be Rexon who goes down through the horse door.
And it was Bride hopping onto a Razor Bloom that did all of that damage. The fact that he was able to survive it in and of itself is quite impressive. Thorn getting a whack of buffs and now is far stronger and can be used inside the site or on an extended roam. Surf roaming upstairs right now, situated in bathroom, miles away from any active attacker, though. If he wants to, he can bring the heat to EFAC, and it looks like Surf is going to do just that.
Time is ticking down, Parker. We've seen the Goyos, we've seen the stall potential that SR have. Now the push will start to come through the books wall into office. Bride gets that open now. Second time in a row, Falcons are committing to full clearing the top floor. They don't want to just go direct. They are in a man disadvantage, or a man advantage, I should say, this time around. So that makes things a little bit nicer for them. But Ambi, a beautiful equalizer coming in through briefing, takes down Usus, and everybody escapes back to site.
And Falcons are now working in a big group upstairs to clear out what roam remains. With 1 minute still left to go, Shaiko has spent much of this outside of the building while the rest of his team gets ever closer. But the thing with Fortress is you can see this site quite effectively from those exterior windows. Now Spoit has existed in this position for quite a bit of time on that Azami, as you wisely pointed out. She's an anchor in this bomb site. Spoit is playing her so effectively. Spoit getting active, down goes Shaiko. The advantage goes back to Rebellion with 35 seconds left on the clock.
Catches him on the bunks brief, and now we see even more of an advantage for Shopify Rebellion. All these players coming north side. Saltov maybe gonna tangle with Spoit as well, but it's so hard.
Lickifak and Bride both at just about a single point of HP. If you sneeze, they will be knocked down. So Rebellion looking to catch their breath. A little over 10 seconds left in the round. Falcons need to wander on in. They will do so to their demise. Down goes Bride. EFAC will join the Surf. And now it's all up to Solotov. Will he even give them that opportunity? He tries a beautiful shot from Spoit. And is that just a single kill across 2 rounds for Falcons? Not exactly the start that they wanted.
Maybe Fortress isn't in Morocco or Ohio, Parker. Maybe it's in Sundsvall, Sweden, because Spoit looks right at home playing on this map, has found some really high impact kills across the first 2 rounds. Credit to the rest of the team as well, though. I think being able to delay so much time on the north side of the map was instrumental in helping them win that. The time was starting to put a lot of pressure in on Falcons. They didn't have the utility that they wanted, nor the trades that they wanted to clear Spoit out of that bunk's position, largely because of how much time it took them to get into office, to get control of bathroom, to start to work their way in through briefing. And even once they did that, of course, it was not without its casualties. So very good from Shopify Rebellion to win both top floor defenses. Seems like this attacking side start has not panned out for the Falcons.
No, not at all. And again, it was a great early start back on map number 1 for Rebellion. Then they fall off. Falcons call a timeout. They settle themselves down. They make a couple changes. Rebellion removes the Grim. Falcons need to start bringing the shield. Julio calls that really effectively. Shield starts getting brought religiously by Brede. The tide turns, and then Falcons go into the better half of their own map. And that was it. Rebellion are on the better half of their own map really early, at least with the way Fortress plays out. Again, there's some credibility here where ball knowers say it's probably going to be an attacker-sided map. It just has yet to materialize. So if Rebellion cannot escape this first half higher than 3-3, I think they find themselves in the same predicament they found themselves in on Consulate. That is a troubling position to be in, and it sets Falcons up for what could very possibly be a 2-0.
We've spread all across the mid floor here for Shopify Rebellion, choosing not to hold up above. A lot of teams have done this. You've seen teams hold above the bomb site as well, but there are a lot of positions to play on the main floor. So if you want to give it up for free, you can absolutely do that, and that's going to be the game plan from Shopify Rebellion. You may have placed a few mute jammers or whatnot up here to slow down the clear, but it is free, as Fac is finding out now. He throws out some of these boogie drones and starts to get to work on the floorboards. Now, you've got to be worried about some of the players that are on the exteriors of the bomb site. We saw Ambi going for a bit of a spawn peek to start things off. Spoit was playing over towards Hammam as well. So you've got players around the site that could make your life difficult. For now, though, it seems like a very G-ball push from Falcons. They've got full control up above. They're going to open up this waiting hatch. I've seen teams try to go for a drop through this waiting hatch to get the plant down. I've seen teams try to push through medical. Of course, you kind of need that med bay area where Surf is currently playing if you want to get a plant down on that side of the map no matter what. But they've got a lot of the early control that they were looking for Falcons, and it came without the need for bloodshed.
He's got it this time. Has to call in one of those pocket EMPs. A lot of value from this drone. 2 mute jammers and a Rooney Gate. Surf leading off by taking down Solitov. Lots of zeros across the board for Falcons. Only 1 kill through those 2 rounds, and it was at the hands of EFAC previous round. Did not really amount to too much. Surf getting an opportunity on the Capital. Brede on the board. Falcons are with a minute to go in a much healthier spot than the previous 2 rounds.
Yeah, rare early kill coming out from Brede, trying to open himself up to go for a plant. Gets the drop down now after the Capital smokes. They have medical. They've cleared out Surf earlier thanks to that hatch play, but Spoit has found Shaiko. This wall is something that they'd like to open to go for a plant. The Gone 6 isn't going to do them any good, so they're going to have to run through the door if they can't get it open otherwise.
Spoit 5-0, and he hasn't even really been much of a factor in this round, so there remains an opportunity for him to amass even greater kills as now Brede has found his way in, tucked next to the bomb chassis. Getting Diffuser down inside of waiting. Spoit dies to Leaky Fat. Good coverage so far for Falcons. This Diffuser gets planted right under their nose. Canadian gets a single kill, then gets dropped immediately. Falcons have the upper hand in this post play. Ambi and Rexon hanging on for dear life, battling the clock, battling these players. It's all up to EFAC now. Ambi and Rexon searching for that kill. Rexon gets onto the spot. EFAC compelled into action. He has to shut this down. He has a good opportunity. Ambi swings and shuts him down, though. And the youngster will get the kill and the case. Rebellion off to a screaming hot 3-0 start.
Close, but no cigar. Nice attempt with that plant coming down, Parker. That's a really difficult plant spot to deny. Kind of need the up above control. A 3-0 lead from Shopify Rebellion. I'm curious if that does prompt attack timeout. We'll get the operator bans in first before we reveal if we will be taking a quick pause, but really good from Shopify Rebellion to not panic after that happened. They played their trades well. They were always in an advantage, even when man count was early. Mute setup inside of Medbay was fantastic from Surf, even though it only got a single kill.
Just rotate currently if I needed to.
It's just like you guys said, you know, like they're just falling back, we're dying. We can just like what EFAC said. We can either like play full naked, just push everywhere, just fast, just speed up the game, you know, because now they're in their comfort zone. You can just like play like this, or you can just bring full execute as well. They keep doing this, you know, like bring more execute, direct full execute, 5 execute operators, you know, whatever. I think the 2 we're gonna make the game more annoying, you know. Let's make them uncomfortable. I think Shaiko on Horse, if you feel like you can double loop there, call someone, call someone or rotate, you know, if you can do shit, call someone to help you, or you just rotate and you go with them, okay?
Yeah, you can also jump mid single way window, like once someone bait her, so I can push red.
Let's be annoying, okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Might be some of the most urgency I've heard in Julio's voice in quite some time. I mean, Julio is usually as cool as a cucumber. If he's getting mad, if he's starting to show some signs of concern, I think they're probably very well founded. And I mean, that was a much better round for Falcons, Jesse, but beyond that, it has been quite a poor showing so far. Even in that round, they only got 3 kills.
Yeah, I mean, their attacks really aren't going the way that they need them to be going. You heard the frustrations happening around Horse. That's Shaiko trying to take that position up against Surf, who has primarily been playing that spot for Shopify Rebellion. I think the Azami ban should help them in taking Horse control because they've played that operator around there a couple of times now, but there really are some issues that I think Falcons are going to have to get together when it comes to the speed of these clears. When they're choosing to clear through the entire top floor, they have been losing on time more often than not. Second time as well in 2 maps that we've heard Julio call a very early tack timeout, Parker. The last one on Consulate came early as well.
Both in the same round, both right after the operator bans.
Both right after round 3, yeah. And to be fair, it was a good tack timeout and it worked for Falcons. It got them the 3-3 split they were looking for. It's going to be a little tougher to get the 3-3 split here. Shopify Rebellion can play all 3 bomb sites. Again, it's only going to get easier to choose your bomb sites, and you're going to have more options as this first half continues. I'll be interested to see if Falcons do ever commit to going direct to site and not clearing out the roamers. For now, Parker, they are doing the same ace breaching Solotov on the bunk's wall. It looks very similar to round 1.
I was going to say, 4 of these 5 operators have been played previously. Deimos has been present in all but the most recent round. Striker, the only new addition. Uses has been swapping around ops quite frequently. That's something that we expect. Playing those entry-ish ops that are still very utility heavy. Going from Brava to Flores to Dokkaebi now to Striker. He played 3 rounds of intel ops with more to it than just that. Now just going for pure utility. Looking for that first pick. EFAC, the only player on this team with anything close to resembling a good EPS. 59 for Bride. Everybody else below. Solotov right now rocking a 16 of an EPS, which through 3 rounds just might be one of the worst EPSs we've seen at this point in time in the tournament. Still plenty of time to turn that one around, but ineffective on utility, ineffective on droning, ineffective on killing. That's going to land you in a rough spot.
So we're not really clearing through the south side, Parker. They opened up the wall, but then have decided to mostly focus towards the north. We saw that pressure coming out from Licky Falcon on the white stairs. Chose not to commit to it. The vert angle's a little bit too strong. It's really awkward to push up those white stairs when the defenders are holding vertical angles from inside of office. Licky Falcon up the main stairs will try to go for a swing, but it's Surf who swings first to find Shaiko as the opening pick.
And it's taken over 10 minutes for Shaiko to get his first kill here on Fortress. That is almost unheard of. It's been a stifling defense from Rebellion, shutting down these good gunners of Falcons. They have a good deal of time to work with, and out will go a death mark to make this a little bit easier for the EU squad.
Yeah, they track Ambi. He's playing in bathroom. He's got Spoit by his side, so can try to use that as a bit of a bait, but for now just trying to vacate the bathroom, and it's Spoit going for a hunting kill on a Usus.
Bride taking down Canadian. Spoit's only death occurring in the previous round, a round that was won by his teammates. So even if he dies, that's okay, but 6 kills for him, mighty impressive. Ambi strong on map number 1, keeping up with that on map number 2, but shut down by Shaiko, who finds number 2, won't find a third as Rexon punishes him. A 2v2 with Spoit wounded. Bride getting diffuser down. Solotov watching from afar. They're giving him nothing just yet. Solotov turns around. Spoit with yet another kill. And now the 2 remaining players on Rebellion will look to isolate Bride, who's got the shield put away. Gun barrel out. An advantageous position for Bride should they push from that angle. He will get one, but he turns around. A great pinch by the Rebellion. Spoit with a huge round and an easy disable from SR. Yet again, the timeout not paying off immediately. 4-0, an incredible beginning for Fortress. And no matter what happens over the next 2 rounds, Shopify Rebellion have done what needs to be done on this first half.
An unwinnable 1v2 for Bride. Rexon and Spoit played that perfectly, Parker. They pinched him from 2 different angles. They had 1 in front, 1 behind. That shield does not go 360, so easy to clean up that final clutch in the post plant. Shopify Rebellion get their 4th round in a row, and I feel like they've been reading Falcons exceptionally well credit to Shaiko, despite what he was saying in the TAC timeout, and I can't repeat it, he got a couple of really important kills around Horse. This was the first one, shutting down Surf, who was going for that swing. Then he gets really deep into Bathroom right here, and he finds the frag onto Ambi. Once he gets all of that space, once he controls the Bathroom site, Shaiko has kind of given his team all the opportunity to win that round, but unfortunately, the movements from Shopify Rebellion are too strong. That swing coming out from Ambi on the top floor over towards Spoit, I should say. Mez was so good. Post plant once again also perfectly played by Willie and Rexon. So altogether a clean defense from Shopify Rebellion, and they are on the path to 7-0.
Numbers getting a lot better after those previous 2 rounds for Falcons, but still just not quite where they need to be. Fortress, a newer map. One that, again, North America seemed to come into this event with loads of prep on. Now, to many, they just thought, well, if you're bad at Skyscraper, you'll just always ban Fortress. You're not going to need to go to it. And a lot of teams were just thinking, either we ban Fortress because we know we're bad at it, or we leave it open. And we basically hope that our opponents are equally uncomfortable so that when we play it, it becomes a coin flip. Almost like a game of chicken. Who bans Fortress first? Are there more higher priority maps that we can get rid of that will aid us, and then we can have Fortress set up as a decider of sorts? Rebellion were obviously very well equipped to handle this map. It is showing so far. Falcons giving Rebellion the better side on the first half is a bit of an intriguing decision, and it's so far not looking like it's going to pay off. But Falcons can do the same thing when they swap sides. And if they do, that means we go to overtime.
They only won 2 of their defenses versus Wildcard earlier in the group stage, so I feel they were banking on these attacks being strong for them. Not over yet. 4-2 split still in the cards for Falcons. That's what they're playing for, and Horse will once again be the position that Shaiko finds himself in. Walks in straight past the trap.
Oh my.
Drops through the hatch, nervous of the ghosts that are not there, but still blinded as Liquifact. There is really no contestation happening from Shopify Rebellion on the spot.
How do you know they're there if you can't see them? That's the real question. Shaiko might have a premonition, but that's not certain. That's just a hunch. Ambi now involved in early action, as we have been saying so far in this entire series, but it's Surf to get his kill. Surf will find another before Brede shuts him down. Surf was very good on that Thorn in this previous attempt by Falcons to attack this site. They're getting tripped up a lot by the Fenrir. Down goes Brede to Rexon, and things have fallen apart for Falcons over a minute to go, and they're just 2 players left.
Surf and Rexon playing around Bathroom have been the difference makers. Rexon's still here. You see his silhouette. Saltov knows where he's at too, but Rexon's not giving him anything. Patiently playing in the short haul, knows where this player is at. They finally get the pinch on him, but it took so much time, Parker. They're in briefing. They've got this control of the map. But Canadian, the smoke on the other side is going to be a very difficult thing to move.
Solitov with his very first kill. It comes at a time where they desperately need it. Shaiko on 2 at this point. They'll get a drone on the Bandit. Spoiling the perfect pop-up, but Willie wins it. Oh my goodness.
Nah.
Sit down, Solitov. Shaiko with 3 targets to find, and he hears the shotgun blast. What does he do next? He gets Spoit. Could potentially get Canadian next, as that shotgun is pointed at the doorway. This will be tough for Shaiko. Down he goes. Canadian punishes him. And oh my, what an incredible run as it's 5-0.
And Parker, I mean, what a crazy, ridiculous round we just witnessed as well. I mean, coming in through that top floor clear, it is that duo of Rexon and Surf that really pop off, give them the momentum that they needed. Even when Falcons had the answers, even when they could move in with that Flores drone, force Spoit to step up, somehow he wins that fight. There's no world in which it should be favored for Team Falcons, but starts off strong, it finishes strong. This map might be going by very fast, Parker.
A very quick best of 3 could potentially await us. Is that what it looks like we are set up for? Map number 3, the tiebreaker, if needed, will be Nighthaven Labs. This is good territory for both teams, but I have to give the nod to Rebellion when it comes to that map. So you can pull off the reverse sweep and manage to make your way into the upper bracket. The winner of this match goes up against Team Secret, who have looked phenomenal so far, undefeated through phase 1. They have been world beaters. They had a terrific run at Munich. They won EWC back in the summer of last year. It has just been an upward trajectory for this European team. And of course, the player that we always have to reference when Team Secret comes up is Joom. He's been so good. Rebellion's got some tools, though, and if both Spoit and Surf, and Ambi, too, who's had a bit of a backseat in this map, show up the way they have over maps 1 and 2, map 3 remains to be seen, June might have his hands full.
Bit of a backseat, and he's 4-1. I mean, you're not wrong, but I think that speaks to how dominant this Shopify Rebellion team has been on Fortress. We go to the final bomb site, Parker, of Kitchen Cafeteria. Shopify Rebellion are doing the exact same thing. It's the identical defensive lineup coming out from them. They've spread themselves across this mid floor. Surf was previously playing in medbay, and he could get cut off by Shaiko. Shoots a couple shots and does back off. Medical is usually the power position that Surf likes to play, and he was so important to get that opening pick on round number 3. He switched things up a little bit. If he can get the drop on Shaiko, maybe make something crazy happen, that could be even more devastating to Falcons' chances of getting this final round. They seem to have a good idea of where he's at. They've definitely got him on drone now, though, and with that hard ping, Shaiko can go for the Deathmark track.
And he'll try to hunt somebody down. He'll get the read onto the mute, but immediately lose it. I guess really nothing ventured, nothing gained. A swing and a miss for Falcons. Now at the halfway point of this round, Extreme Makeover, Home Edition, Solitov upstairs, making life as uncomfortable for the defenders as possible, taking away that roof above their very heads. But nobody present to punish. Down goes Uzis to Surf, and that's the opening pick for the Rebellion.
He's so good playing in that med position. At the same time, Lickyfac dealing with Ambi on the other side of the map. Lickyfac all by himself trying to make something happen to distract for this plant. The logic bombs will try to do so as well as the med bay push comes.
Oh, Shaiko gunned down by Canadian. An honest attempt by Falcons, but Rebellion have just beaten them every single step of the way. Bree-Day inside of Infirmary, now dead. That's not where you want to go. Almost another flawless round. Rebellion, though, with a flawless first half. All 6 rounds going in their favor. A suspect choice for Falcons to start them off as defenders. You got a lot of time to make up, as only one more round for the Rebellion will punch us to map number 3.
At some point, we got to start just banning Fortress against North American teams, Parker. It seems like the meta has developed far farther than what we've seen in any other region. Shopify Rebellion, really nice 5-man bottom floor hold to come through. It's the exact same that we saw in round 3. It's a perfect attempt for Falcons to try to adapt and crack that same nut again, but Surf continues to be a problem on the east side of the map. We see that push in from Lickyfac get spotted out by Ambi. That didn't do as much as they were hoping for it. And then the site play from Canadian, really strong as well. It just didn't feel like Shopify Rebellion were ever under that much pressure, and if they were striking back with good nitro cells, good swings, good trades if they ever lost anybody. A 6-0 half is not what most were expecting after Team Falcons won map 1, dominating through the second half of Consulate. But Parker, this third map of Nighthaven Labs is well on its way.
We spent so much time almost tripping over ourselves to praise this Falcons team all the way back in map number 1. And then the desk started to give some flowers to Rebellion for this second map. Well, after Consulate had been concluded, there's a bit of skepticism as to whether or not some of that praise was warranted. Rebellion have made us look like, or any doubters rather, because we didn't openly doubt them, have made us look like fools because the Rebellion showed up ready to play. Look at the numbers on the bottom of your screen. They tell the full story. Uzis without a kill. Solitov just on a single kill. Shaiko held to 3 kills at this point. Across the board, you are looking at 11 kills for this Falcons team. Surf is at 9. Spoit is at 9.
Yeah.
There is a gulf between these teams, and I don't know if Falcons have what it takes to cross that divide. Now, they do have the upper hand on sides, but a lack of comfort, a lack of adaptations, an inability to read this Rebellion team, all of these things have doomed the EML squad. Now it's up to the Rebellion to crack what could be an incredibly defender-sided fortress.
Spoit nearly guaranteed his first positive map of the Invitational. Would be a big boon to get him jump-started into this playoff run. Good droning coming through from Spoit as well. Sometimes it's not all about the kills. Finds a little bit of information there over on the main staircase of this top floor. We've spread it all across the top floor as we tend to see. Uses one of those South roamers. Shaiko as well, really barreled up inside of Horse. So you've got a couple of strong defensive positions you're going to have to clear if you are on the SR team. Spoit and Shaiko likely to tussle as the first flashbang goes through the door. It's just baiting things out. That'll be a gunfight to happen later in the round instead.
Surf is using all of his own intel as he spots the Ela of Solotov right now playing in games. He'll get a read. Logic bomb will go off. Solotov's a little bit smarter than this. He is not taking the bait. He will allow that call to expire. Ambi meeting uses head-on an opening pick for Falcons as Solotov gets on the board as well. Serve had all the information but could not land the shots. And with the flick of a switch, Rebellion has gone down by 2 players.
Solotov and Usis, that former M&M duo, doing a great work there on the roam game. Solotov a bit of a bait, as Usis is the one to really strike first, and Solotov for 2 more right after. Spoit goes down, and this might just be a flawless round from the Falcons.
I mean, you got plenty of time if you're Rebellion. You still got your timeout to boot. Solotov killing everybody inside the server. There's a reason why we call him the Turkish Terror. He's been terrorizing this Rebellion team for the last minute and a half. The quad kill is available as Rexon still remains, but he's the only hope for Rebellion. Solotov had information, a pre-fire on the door, but the bullets go over the head of Rexon. Kudos to Rexon for actually trying this one. They've got him locked down with the yokai. Shaiko will get kill number 1,000 to win this round flawlessly, but I don't know if he actually got it. We'll wait, because sometimes they give the kill to a player who gets the down. It sure looks like it. We'll have to wait until we get into live action to see the scoreboard. If it shows 4 for Shaiko.
It was a headshot. That's certainly got to be it, because it wasn't the finish of the down. It was a headshot straight in with the Scorpion, so that's got to be it.
And we are getting confirmation from the admins. 1,000 kills for Shaiko. Souls got 1,000 yesterday, or well, 2 days ago. Shaiko will net an incredible tally for the Frenchman.
And weirdly, he doesn't seem that thrilled.
I don't even know if he knows that he got 1,000 kills. I don't think players track these numbers anywhere near as much as we do.
Maybe a little bit more concerned with the numbers at the top of the lobby, which is 6 and 1. It's a start to dig themselves out of this deficit. Falcons, a really nice roam game coming through there. Again, I think Usis and Solotov working so well as a duo through that round. Also want to give some credit to Bride. I mean, everybody was participating in that round for Falcons, but his yokai drones gave a lot of that information that allowed the roamers on Falcons to step up and get those frags, have so much success in those aggressive engagements. So really nice team play coming out from Team Falcons. Shaiko, of course, stepping up for that final frag, exactly what he needed to hit 4 digits on the SI scoreboard. So impressive from him.
Just a terrific player through and through.
Hot take, I think Shaiko is a good player. I'll say it, I'll be brave.
Not to get political, but I think 1,000 kills is a lot.
What a legacy. The only thing now he needs, Parker's a hammer.
He's won a major. He did it with the Team BDS back in Jönköping, Sweden, defeating Team Liquid in a thrilling matchup. But outside of a couple EWCs, there's been no big moment for him on any of his teams, and now that they're competing on home soil, most teams will tell you they don't really care where they win the hammer, they just want to win one, period.
Yeah.
But if you're Space Station, winning it in North America as a North American team, if you are Furia, or W7M to be more specific, winning it in Brazil, or if you're Falcons, potentially winning it in Paris, even though the team and the org are no longer a French team, the core and identity of this team for so long has been French. They have a majority of French players. It would feel mighty good for Falcons to lift the hammer here in Paris at the live event next weekend. But he's got to get out of this matchup first, and right now it certainly seems like map number 3 will determine things. Unless Falcons can go on a 6-0 run of their own, Rebellion is still sitting on map point.
Trying to find some way to get into this map. Force wasn't really successful, so Andy goes in for the bottom floor, finds the frag on the looky back of the main stairs. That's their opening that they needed. Could open up some space now for these players to try to jump into the window, maybe get in through that horse door still. Worried about somebody flanking in from behind him. Solotov is down inside of Music, so he is right to think that he might get flanked later on through this one. He will track Solotov, so now aware of the Legion's positions. Ambi on a solo mission right now. His whole team just using this as an opportunity to get space.
And Solotov got mighty close. He almost had an opportunity to see Ambi, but will peel off of that position. Yokai drones strategically placed around this map, and they are aiding Falcons for the 2nd round in a row. You rightly credited how important those Yokais were for intel. Bride is a terrific support player. He calls, he's an active talker. He's going to get a lot of value out of these gadgets.
Every single player on SR just outside of bunks. They're very grouped up at the moment, Parker, so there will be no backstab coming in for this Rebellion attack. The information's still good from Falcons. They might not have numbers, but they are in strong positions.
Canadian will wander on into the bomb site, disoriented for a moment by the F-Naught. He's got 2 pairs of eyes staring at him on the side of Falcons. Has outgone another death mark. The last one will emerge now for Ambi to use. 10 seconds to go, 9 players still alive. Canadian toying with the warding, Yuza staying alive. A thorn in the side as Shaiko now gets taken down by Rexon. Down goes Solotov as well. It's all up to Bride. He might get the job done! Taking matters into his own hands. He knocks them off the plant, but he's shut down by the bodies of the Rebellion. And a 7-1 victory sends us to a 3rd map. What a drubbing for the Falcons. That could have been a 7-0 for Rebellion, but 7-1 is about as good as she gets.
Yeah, a statement for the very first time. Shopify Rebellion have played Fortress in an official competitive matchup. Really nice play here against the Falcons, forcing that 3rd map of Nighthaven Labs start to finish. They owned the European team.
No player on Falcons amassing more than 4 kills. Shaiko hits kill number 1,000, but I bet you he's more worried about the score of this map. Nighthaven Labs is next.
Our window is closing. We only get one shot at this.
NA remains superior on Fortress with a 7-1 victory. They claw themselves back in this matchup. A very dominant map, especially on the defense.
A really weird take, by the way, from Falcons to go and pick attack on Fortress, because if there is one team that knows how to layer their defense, it's gonna be Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, and I think ultimately Shopify Rebellion did that really, really well. There was two key individuals for me, which was Spoit and Saf, and I think realistically the way Fortress will play out is you will often be spread up across the top floor, mainly controlling that horse area and the bathroom area, and Saf, he was incredible at controlling that one.
Yeah, the front line and the back line, right? Spoit, amazing on that Ela, especially like you said, holding those strong areas, abusing the Ela mines and winning his gunfight. Surf, on the other hand, was the guy that was playing on site, either with the Thorn or with the Mute. He was the one holding it as an anchor, getting the important frags. Honestly, the work of the two, the back line, the front line, amazing to see from Shopify Rebellion. And they're the ones, the real kings, that are to be praised for the 6-0 in defense.
Their reactions were so good. They really were. They knew exactly what Falcons were going to do when they were trying to do the full clears across, and when it was time for the execute, they were ready, holding all the different areas of entry that Falcons were going for. When Falcons started going direct, they were baiting them out for just the individuals where they could find the 2v1s. They were getting them every single time.
I feel like we put a lot of pressure on Spoit, of course, with the head-to-head. We put him versus Shaiko earlier. So far, he's definitely delivering, at least in this map too.
Yeah, we've said multiple times, it's never been about the skill with Spoit. It's about putting him in a position where he can actually frag out. With that Ela in strong positions, he's actually, I guess, in a perfect position to go and get aggressive, get the kills that he wanted.
Now, that wasn't the only one for the head-to-head we did earlier today. We also talked about the IGLs, about the strategic gameplay, and there's something you want to show us on Nighthaven Labs.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, this is the map that we're heading into, and on the very first clip, it's actually Surf, and I think it's just worth re-showing this one, where he throws out the proximity alarm to bait out the Thatcher to get rid of the proximity alarm, and then the C4 is free to not be Thatchered and to deny the plant.
That was absolutely beautiful to see, and if you look at the overall theory from Shopify Rebellion on that map, look at Ying here from Canadian. He's baiting the backline of the bomb site here. He's gonna die actually coming into Aqua, but he's there to buy time, to be a distraction. As he does that, Ambi, Rexen, they flash out the bomb site and they go aggressive and take it against FaZe. And then towards the end of the round, 7-7 by the way against FaZe, the world champions. Look at the views of the smoke, exactly like we saw it on Consulate in earlier this match against Falcons, that gets rid of the diffuser. And then after this, the clash of Canadian takes over, buying time, slowing down the attackers, 15 seconds left, nothing they can do here. And as much as FaZe will go and get aggressive and get some picks, as long as Canadian and Surf, the backline lives, the only two remaining player buy enough time here. Canadian with the clash will buy enough time to win the round, and that was how they beat FaZe on that map.
And obviously we're talking about Shopify Rebellion a lot, and I think that's because being consistent, when they play with the team play, when they play with the coordination and communication, they are so high in terms of their level, they can take on anyone. We've seen them just do that to Falcons. We've seen them in the clips just then, doing it to FaZe. They can do it to anybody. When it doesn't quite pay off, it doesn't look as good. So it's the big win condition in my mind for Shopify Rebellion is, can they play to that level with their coordination?
So then when it comes to Falcons, what are we looking to see from them on this final map to really stay in the upper bracket?
I think the important thing is we've seen multiple times the split takes, Jack, and they're so spread around and they get picked off one by one. They take individual gunfights and they're used to win them, fair enough. But when that doesn't work, you need to start playing as a team. We heard Julio call the right strategy. What was it? It was go direct, everyone together. Shaiko, if you're on one side of the map and you don't get a kill and you don't feel useful, go join the execute. Play as one team, as 5, as a squad. That's the one thing that we need to see from them.
Well, they need to show us that if they want to stay in the upper bracket, just one more match. It comes down to a best of one. Who stays in the upper bracket and who loses their extra life? Nighthaven Labs is up next.
Winner gets to face Team Secret later today. Loser goes down to the lower bracket to fight up against Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow. Falcons won their own map 7-3, a far more convincing win for the Rebellion emerges on Fortress. Now, a map that should be well suited for both teams awaits us. Jesse, if you had to predict, or if you don't want to predict, but at least explain the stakes here, who do you think's got the upper hand on Nighthaven Labs?
Parker, you can call it NA bias if you want, but the way SR looked on the previous map was just devastating in my mind. Falcons, they've had these tough moments in high-pressure situations. They've fallen in those spots before. And listen, every time an SI champion has been crowned over the last 3 years, they've done it after falling in the first round. So listen, the storybook kind of writes itself for Team Falcons here in the City of Lights. Up against Shopify Rebellion, they'll still have to prove it though. Night Haven Labs, as you mentioned, and this is going to be one that Shopify Rebellion have a long history of success on. Of course, 2-0 at the Six Invitational, beating FaZe Clan and G2. Overtime on both games, they were close. They were very much nail-biter matches, but in the end, Shopify Rebellion have shown consistency on this match before. Falcons are also 2-0 since they lost it, of course, in the Munich finals. But those games were against not quite the same opponents. One of them was the same. They beat G2 at the EML finals. Then they beat Daystar here at the Six Invitational. Their game's much faster, but I would say less impressive given the stakes of both games.
Absolutely. And just as we were about to get underway, it appears that we have a small tech issue, so we will stall for a little bit more time. Over on the B stream, you've got two North American teams colliding in what will be just one of a handful of times we see North America today. If SR wins this matchup, they will be in action later against Team Secret, as we mentioned just moments ago. M80 and Space Station will do battle for the privilege of playing Wildcard, their regional counterparts, later on. Down in the lower bracket, you've got one North American team right now, the only North American team in the lower bracket, and that's OXG. We know their matchup. They're playing Team Heretics. Tomorrow, you and I will actually be casting that game.
Yep.
I am very excited to do that. You and I have some experience with this Team Heretics team because while they are a Tier 2 squad, we get to cast them in Toronto at that Spoit Contender Series before they, of course, rebranded. Getting picked up by a giant Spanish organization. They were formerly known as Project Zero. OXG has looked like the weakest team in North America by quite a bit, but they're still a top 16 team. They could still surprise, and as you have said many times, Jesse, the lower bracket is the fields upon which the future grand champion will reap.
Absolutely, and there's been a lot of conversation in North America about who's the best, second best, third best. In a lot of people's minds, Shopify Rebellion have fallen down that ranking. So as we see the NA teams participate across this upper bracket, and they're going to be compared to their regional rivals in Space Station, in M80, in Wildcard, even in Dark Zero, if you haven't watched the game in over a year. So it really does lend itself to...
DZ's not even here and they're catching.
to showcase how well they can do against this Falcons team. We highlighted Surf actually just in a brief graphic a few minutes ago, and Jack also highlighted his play on the desk. I've been really impressed with how well Surf has done, not just in this game, but over SI as a whole. He's been the highest rated player on Shopify Rebellion coming into this, but he was the worst rated player for this team in Munich. And, you know, you and I were at that Spoits event. We were hanging out with all of the players on Shopify Rebellions. The vibe kind of was that Surf was struggling in that, and the team kind of recognized that. Surf recognized it in himself, that maybe his performance back at the Munich Major wasn't what they've come to expect of him. This Six Invitational has been different. A different level has been shown by Surf in Paris, and I think it's made all the difference for the Rebellion.
Through two maps, Surf is the best rated player on his team and in the lobby, so a tip of the cap to him. Spoit had a really terrific previous map. Rising up against the best gunners of Falcons, he sat down Solotov a few times, he outdueled Shaiko. These are things that kids that are growing up to play this game could only dream of saying about themselves. For Spoit, it's just another day in the office. He has yet to go positive at this event, but if you go back to Fortress,
very positive.
Very positive. Only 3 deaths for Spoit. So, hey, look at that. He turns on the Jets, and with it, Rebellion goes up. Now, mind you, everybody on the team did well. The only player who went negative in that map was Rexon, who went 4 and 5. Rexon also went negative on Consulate.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe they made a very subtle role change for this team. Maybe Spoit is playing a more aggro, more active style, and Rexon has been more passive. But Rexon's numbers have not been particularly good compared to, say, Spoit's. To his credit, Rexon did enter as the perfect middle-rated player on this squad. So he does what needs to be done, but he has not had a particularly good series so far. If Rexon can turn around, that would be great. But right now, the stories are indeed Spoit and Surf.
Well, and sometimes the impacts aren't always seen on the scoreboard, Parker. Like when you get an Electro Claw trick, you can have a high impact on the round without getting the stat sheet going your way. Now, Canadian dies in the midst of this. He was trying to protect Rexon's retreat as he went for another trick on that connector wall. He loses his life fight for it. At the same time, though, Shaiko gets traded back by Ambi. So we're seeing everybody on SR working together to accomplish some of these goals. In the end, they don't keep the wall fully closed off, but you're not going to be able to walk into the connector breach, and it starts to limit the options that Falcons will have as they go for this attack.
Canadian spent every round defending on Fortress as Smoke, so now he'll go with the shield operator. Clash has a ton of value on this map, particularly this bomb site. You'll see Clash get trotted over toward those aqua or fish stairs, which is where Surf is now playing as the Smoke. You can position yourself by electrical. You can even put down the shield and frag so effectively as we see Clashes do. Canadian will have to call from the bench as he died very early on. Uses will go down to Spoit, who seems to have remembered that he can left click, and the advantage goes to Rebellion.
Yeah, nice play coming out from the Swede, and this is really in a new strategy from Shopify Rebellion, despite the fact that they've played this map so many times at the Six Invitational. This setup with the Two-Brow and the Kaid is brand new from their play, so not something that Falcons will have likely come in expecting. Spoit already getting good value out of that Two-Brow DMR, hitting a beautiful shot, and this IT, or this garage wall, I should say, is going to be really tough for Falcons to open up. They don't really have the tools for it anymore. They've wasted all of their can openers on the other walls, so whilst they have the Raptors position, Parker, I don't really know what it's worth.
It's a great call. This Capitao has been very instrumental for Falcons, but it's not really working out all that effectively, at least for the time being. Solotov finds Surf through the wall. Bride on the board as well. The advantage that Rebellion has, completely gone. Spoit and Rexon now playing far, far back, but both of their guns will have ACOG, so they can engage a little more comfortably on these long-range duels, and Bride will understand how hefty damage is done by the DMR of Spoit. Will now freeze the ground in front of him. He was hoping to defang that Grim push. Does not work. Comes a bit belated. Spoit drops. Rexon will have the cut here. Taking down the Capitao. He redeems himself. He heard us critiquing his play, and Richie will clutch to give the Rebellion round number 1.
Speak of the devil, there he goes. What a pop-off round. And again, it's not just about the kills, Parker. I really think the utility was the key focal point for Shopify Rebellion in that round. Keeping the walls closed with that Two-Brow Kaid combo. It wasn't something Falcons were expecting coming into things. It wasn't something that they had the tools to play against. Really smart play coming out from Shopify Rebellion. And honestly, Parker, it reminds me of a conversation that was had between Shaiko and Milos, where Shaiko said to Milos that, listen, we don't feel bad when we lose to teams because every single time we play against a team, they're bringing it their all. They're always bringing out their newest strategies, their newest maps, their biggest tricks to try to take us down. Falcons, for the very large majority of people, are the favorites for this event. They can feel it when they play against opponents, and this game is no different. Shopify Rebellion have brought a lot of new stuff to this series, playing Consulate for the second time all season, playing Fortress for the first time all season, playing a brand new strategy in their first round on Nighthaven Labs. They're bringing so much new stuff to the Falcons, and it's frankly very hard to adapt to stuff like that. You've got to be 100% on point as an IGL. Your prep phase drones have to be good, and for Falcons, I think they were decent in that first round, but not good enough.
I mean, I don't think you expect Rexon to clutch a 1v2, right? I mean, I understand.
I liked his positioning, to be honest. I think the 1v2 was favored.
I think his positioning was very, very good. But I'm just saying, clutching out a 1v2 after you've used all that utility isn't exactly something standard. I agree with your point, but I'm not condemning you. I'm condemning the Rebellion. You cannot rely on that to happen every single round to save the day. So still some structural issues from Rebellion, as the Falcons were very good at getting in. We will see now what takes shape here in the second round. I promise, Jesse, I'm not mad at you. I could never be mad at you.
Parker, I don't think you are. Don't worry. I just think that it was a good defense. Rexon inside the control hallway, playing over by Crates, of course, going to be something that they have to deal with. This top floor may be a bit more pressing of a concern. 3 of these Rebellion players are up here. Canadian, Spoit, and Ambi, the entry duo plus the old man, trying to get a little bit of information to allow Ambi and Spoit to do some pop-off things up here. The IT breach is not a problem, and Rexon's still not having any problems. In that main floor, he finds Soltov outside the window, and it's just been so big of so much of a thorn in their side.
And this comes back to our point that we talk about with depth, right? If you have a bad map, if you have a bad second map, you got to redeem yourself for map number 3. If you have a bad second map, maybe you have a good first map.
Yeah.
There are ebbs and flows to these players. So Rexon off to a hot start is particularly great. If you exclude round number 1 of Consulate, Canadian has played 3 operators on every single round as a defender. He has played Clash, he has played Smoke, and he has played Pulse. He played Tachanka round number 1 of Consulate. It was a little experiment. Really nothing more beyond that happened. But yeah, he's going to play these intel ops on Smoke. A little bit different with a map like Fortress. I trust Canadian to call on this Pulse. It's a very familiar op for him.
Historically, he plays the Mira on this site, but of course that gets banned out, so it's adapt a little bit over towards the ball. Still a comfortable role for him. Uses in a potential plant position. Now there is still Rexon very close by. I don't know if Usis is aware of Rexon's spot or if Rexon's aware of Usis. They are right next to each other, and now they will both reveal that information. Rexon sees the brunt of the shield, doesn't get the freebie with it, and worried about who might be playing around the shield player, but not dead yet.
Rexon's in a precarious spot. He has to tempt Brede over on the window. They will close in on him. Multiple players, but Rexon fragging from this position, getting them all. Cannot outduel Usis, so finally his run will end. But he struck fear into the hearts of this Falcons team. Shaiko and Usis will very quickly need to get into the site and punish these remaining defenders. They are outnumbered 2-1. Here comes Usis, trapped in the corner as Surf. Shaiko gets him, and now the Brit will attempt a defuse plant with Shaiko to watch. Canadian down below. Nitro Cell tossed up perfectly, blowing the round to smithereens for Falcons. The big brain on big bad Canadian, and it's a 2-0 start for Shopify Rebellion.
He thought he had him planting on the cabinet, but nope, Canadian's got the shotgun, so he can make the angle. So perfectly played by SR, and it all comes back to those entry frags too, Parker. Richie Coronado, the flex support from Fresno, California, stepping up. Keep in mind, has never beaten Shaiko through 8 matches that he's played in his professional career. That goes all the way back to his time on Luminosity Gaming. He has always struggled against his French core, but today he has been stepping up and has been the key player on Nighthaven Labs. Such an impossible position just beside those crates in the hallway. It feels like they know where he's at. They should be able to get the free kill, but he walks away with 3 in that round and opens the door for Canadian to close it.
I mean, that round was over whether Canadian gets the Nitro Cell or not, right? Amidst that melee, Shaiko had died to Ambi too, so it was just Brede all by his lonesome. Suppose there is a situation where the plant goes down successfully.
10 seconds left.
Brede will then turn around, fully extend, and there are 3 Rebellion players that will all be competing to knock you left and right while one goes on the diffuser. Exactly. It was curtains for Falcons on that round. I did say before we loaded into Consulate, I liked this map pool for Rebellion. I think they're very comfortable here. I think if it went all 3 rounds, you start to tip this match in favor of the North Americans. And again, both of these teams had some very pronounced stumbles through that first phase. They both looked off of their game. It's very easy to look at them with their history. Maybe the Rebellion not, because they haven't really been able to achieve what they had hoped and what this roster can possibly accomplish. But for Falcons, they are a team that we know can go to a grand finals. They've gone to so many. They had some issues through phase 1, and now here they are looking for an upper bracket run, and they have had a rough start to this 3rd map. Who knows? We talked about the mental being reset for the Rebellion after Consulate. Maybe now it's up to Falcons to center themselves after the beating they were handed on Fortress.
Tertiary site for Shopify Rebellion. Basement is the only site of the 3 that they play where they do not have above a 50% win rate through the Six Invitational, so you'd think this is the opportunity for Falcons to turn the tides and get themselves on the board. It's a very heavy roam coming out, with Spoit, of course, playing on that position top floor, a lot of mid-floor players as well, and Falcons no interest in clearing it already down the Exo stairs in a very fast movement pace.
Logic bombs have now finished. Canadian goes back to old reliable here on Clash. Again, you pointed out the Mira being banned means there will need to be a change in the roster for this Rebellion team, and they will do that. Final Logic bomb will now go off. No mute to stop these calls, so for about 10 seconds or so, this will be very good information for Falcons. Canadian spotted by eyes, not by gadgetry, and he will dance backwards from a nade as he's holding off in cargo. He needs to be very worried about his position. He's got a plethora of blue silhouettes in front of him. EFAC taking some damage. If Canadian can draw them in and the rest of Rebellion can sweep them into the dustbin, I'd say that's a victory. Usis getting defused, kit down, and there's chaos inside the site. They know exactly where he is. Surf needs to go quickly, but we get thrust into a post plan as Rexon gets the lead-off pick. The remainder of this round now drops to 45 seconds. As 9 players still alive, Rebellion will need to do the job of disabling, or else this one will go to the Europeans. They get on the board with Solotov taking care of Ambi. Time continuing to run away. Patience is not going to help the Rebellion at this point. They need to get in and start fragging. They're running out of time. Shaiko holding them at bay. The rest of Falcons lined up so far. A very successful post-plant. Rexton finds his second kill. Sidearm out with Canadian now going for the counter to Stable. Can they shut him down in time? From above, Rexton holding court. Canadian might get the job done. He's shut down at the final moment by Breedy. And the round is won by the Falcons on time. The clutch minister himself, he wins re-election, and the Frenchmen and co win their first round.
Parker, Breedy did not enter the building until there was 13 seconds left in that round. He was outside of cargo window for the vast majority of it, but instead, last second decides he's got to go to the bottom floor. His teammates are getting picked apart inside the site, makes it in through assembly, finds that disable, or the denial of the disable. Wow, what a round coming out from Breedy. It's a really risky gambit by Falcons. They send 3 players barreling down the stairs and they get the job done. I mean, just beautiful play coming out from the Europeans. They had 2 players up above as well. Solotov was that Dokkaebi, and he was the player that was supposed to be stopping the vert denial. He did his job. They got the plant down in the end. If Rexton is a split second faster,
literal nanosecond,
he denies that plant, and it's GG. It's going to be 3-0 for Shopify Rebellion, but he's a little bit too slow. The plant goes down before he gets the opportunity, and I really think Breedy's rotation was not in that map for the vast majority of it, was the difference maker.
Just an unbelievable round where you're just on bated breath the whole time.
Yeah.
A nanosecond difference, the plant doesn't go down. You saw Canadian right there in the replay. He was under a second to go before he gets shut down. It is a literal game of millimeters at this point in time. Inches are too big. It's up to millimeters between these teams. What an incredible and thrilling conclusion to that round. Very hard fought by the Falcons, and they get on the board because of it.
Maybe concerning that that's the only way you're winning a round is by barely finishing the plant and then barely stopping the disable, but hey, a win is a win, and Falcons will get on the board. They don't call their TAC timeout after that one. I kind of expected it from Julio because he loves calling these TAC timeouts after 3 rounds, and the scoreline doesn't look good for Falcons, but they need to know how they can adapt for this next couple of rounds. They go back towards that top floor. They banned out the Kaid. The utility play that was being so strong for Rexton back in round number 1 won't be a factor anymore. He's moved over to the Goyo.
Canadians still staying on this clash, so the familiar operators being used, and I mean, why not? These calls from Canadian have seemingly been quite good, though I don't know what exactly happened with the comms in the previous round, because if you think about it, Jesse, Shaiko even pointed it out in team chat afterwards. He said, you have a Solus, by the way. A Solus is only good if you think the diffuser is going to get planted.
Yeah.
If the comms are crowded, if there's chaos happening round by round by round, it doesn't matter if you have a Solus, you're not expecting for the diffuse kit to get planted. You're not going to be on your gadget, and that's exactly what we saw. Surf got on it a bit too late. Rexton responded, but as you pointed out, seconds making the difference here.
Another early frag from Rexton. What a shot under Shaiko with a TCSG. I mean, he hits exactly what he needs to over towards IT, shuts down that quick entry from Shaiko. The pace has really been picked up from Falcons these last 2 rounds. They went for a bit of a rush down through the Exo stairs in round 3. Now round 4, we see that early aggression in through IT as well. Raptors not really being contested. That's why they get in so quickly, but they want them in Raptors, Parker, because Rexton's got the angle.
We haven't even finished round 4, and Richie is in double digits.
Jesus.
I don't even think he had 10 kills combined across the first 2 maps, and yet here he is, beating every member of Falcons to a pulp. Solotov swinging in, eliminating Rexton and Ambi. That's 2 of the 3 heads of this Hydra of the Rebellion. Canadian drops very quickly thereafter, and the advantage now goes to Falcons.
I don't know how Solotov is existing. He's in surrounded by toxic babes right now. They start to fade as he does still survive. Breedy's got the defuse kit still outside the bomb site in connector. Spoit and Surf have 45 seconds to kill. That's too much time, Parker. They've got to either deny this plant or make the flank happen. Surf is not being expected.
And once again, the defuse kit going down. This time, they seem to know it. Spoit gets 2, blowing the round wide open. EFAC will need to pick up the pieces as now he attempts his own plant. Out goes the final toxic babe. Frags will be the way forward for this Falcons team. 20 seconds to go. EFAC squaring himself off, but he knows that Spoit and Surf are coming. Good patience so far from Surf. Another attempt from EFAC. They're going to wait this one out. Plant started at 9 seconds. There is no room for error, and error will not be had. Surf gets the job done. And North America's team of the Rebellion go back to a 2-round lead.
And that's not an easy round to win, Parker. Shopify Rebellion didn't have the numbers in the midst of that. They're in that 2v3.
Okay, guys, I feel like they're just giving us space, and you guys are trying to do solo plays. No, they're just all together. We don't need to do this, okay? Just take space, for example. For now, for stock, just fucking open IT, just ram, just take garage fast, and then we see what we can do, okay? Same for basement, open side, ram the stock guy, just make them pressure, then we see what we can do, okay, guys? Remember, we have, I think we bring the Dokkaebi, but remember, guys, they're giving us space. You guys will not find easy gaps, you know, like you're just going together, then just take the initial space, and then we 3-2-1 and fucking refract them, okay? Because we are doing this with advantage and getting the kills, okay? So just do it together.
That's why piss me off, guys. We are losing this game because we do the same mistake as Fortress.
Uh-oh. Leaky fact status? Pissed off.
Because right now we're just taking 1v1. Please.
He's absolutely pissed.
Shaiko is abnormally red. I think frustration is running deep across this entire team.
And look at these replays, Parker. I mean, they're absolutely right. They're solo plays coming out from Falcons. They're playing as individuals. That's how Rexton gets a couple of those early picks, because there's one guy at a time walking at him through Raptors, in through IT. He's holding the angle with the TCSG. I mean, they're great shots coming out from Rexton, don't get me wrong, but they shouldn't be so easy for him to hit. Falcons are giving him these opportunities. Rexton right now sits with 10 kills. The rest of his own team only have 9 combined, so he's doing more, at least by the numbers, than everybody else on his team. We see the impact from everybody else too. I thought Spoit and Surf played that 2v3 so well. Surf throws those toxic babes, goes for the flank, comes back at the right moment. The nitro from Spoit perfectly placed and timed. Falcons, they're great late rounds coming out from Shopify Rebellion, don't get me wrong, but Falcons are opening the door for them by having these individual plays early.
I have to wonder if a little bit of this is teams underestimating the Rebellion.
Yeah.
There has been some chatter, and I have taken some time to speak to some teams, offline and confidentially, that there is a belief among a not insignificant number of teams at this event that Shopify Rebellion are a bit of a paper tiger. They look really good on paper. They've got great fraggers. They've got one of the best IGLs in the game. They've got a huge organization with tons of money backing them. The expectation is that this team will always do well, but yet they haven't met that same level of success. What is happening? 4 people dead, 50 seconds into the round. I mean, they listened to Julio. They went quick, and this round has gone quick. Canadian is the last one standing on Rebellion with 2 minutes still to go. If Solotov can be retrieved, that means Falcons will have 4 still fighting. A Nitro Cell goes out, Solotov confirmed. Canadian tracked by the death mark. Shaiko getting the final kill, and the round is over before it even began. I didn't even get to finish my point.
Well, Parker, the pacing is still fast from Falcons, but it's all together this time around. And that was an immediate adaptation coming through with the tack timeout from Julio. I mean, they were all in at the same moment, pressuring in through Raptors. You had Saltovs coming in from bottom garage. Of course, Shaiko in through the Raptors door, pressuring in with the Deimos as well. You had Uzis coming in kind of through Aqua side too. So from all different angles, you saw players on Falcons pushing that top floor roam game together. And that's all you really need to do, right? If the utility's not strong enough for Shopify Rebellion to slow you down on the walls or slow you down with things like Banshees or barbed wire or whatnot, then take that fight. Go together. There's going to be some anchors down on the bottom floor, so you have numbers in a situation like that. It's a fast call from the Falcons. It pays off for them. It feels like they might be back in this game.
Let me continue my point now, because we're in the prep phase and there's no way for action to occur. But yeah, I mean, it's one thing for you to go into a game, and a lot of teams here will tell you, yeah, they're all relatively even, yada, yada, yada. But when you talk to teams in private, they get a little bit more forthcoming about what they really think. And that honesty starts to come out. Falcons, no doubt, fashion themselves as one of the best teams at this event. Most teams will tell you, yeah, we're going to win the whole thing. But in their heart of hearts, a lot of players know that that's just not the case. Falcons is one of the few teams that can make a very credible argument that they can go all the way and are favorites to win it. The Rebellion are, in most teams' eyes, At least from what I've heard, not. So the fact that the Falcons come in and are struggling so hard on Fortress, frankly getting embarrassed, and now having some very obvious problems, I imagine that frustration starts to get to you. EFAC is mad. Yuzus looked quite pissed off. Shaiko is redder than a tomato. But hey, they've listened to Julio. They fixed their problems. They've picked up the pace. They blew that previous round open. And now here they are doing the same thing with Shaiko punishing Canadian of all players, the clash of all operators in the first 40 seconds.
Yeah, and it's another fast-paced round. Parker, Shopfire Rebellion attempting to defend Kitchen Cafeteria for the third time this tournament. They tried it against G2. They tried it against FaZe Clan. They failed both times on the defense. And all 3 times, it's been very similar defensive lineups coming through from SR. I think Falcons have done their homework. They know where Canadian likes to play. They clean him up without any problems. Now you've got to try to figure out some way to adapt without your key player, right? Without your IGL and without that important shield that you like to have playing above that bomb sites. They've all vacated meeting. They've all vacated up above. Instead, choosing to hold in towards lobby and in towards the site itself. Shaiko and Bride starting to make that attempt to push in through this lobby side. Yuzus there as well, opening up the floorboards, opening up the windows. Rexon was the only one to really play there. He has now backed off at the 90-second mark, deciding it's not worth his time. But site's not favorable either, Parker. There's a sledge up here, which Rexon will now find out. So it becomes very awkward when there's no place to play.
And a marginally defender-sided map here should benefit Rebellion. So if we end up with a 3-3 first half, you know we're going to get an absolute screamer of a second half. And boy, oh boy, does it feel like things have tightened up just over the last... How long was the previous round? 45 seconds? Combined with the 2 minutes here, it's been a tense one for fans of SR, no doubt. The opening pick on the Clash is oh so important. You do not need to worry about all that info that's going to come. You do not have to fear that late round whatsoever. There might have been some issues with fragging, but not this time around. Solotov walks in, takes no prisoners. Surf and Rexon with 2 of their own. It's all up to Rexon though to clutch. He's been the best player. He just struggles to hit the head of Bride. And we hit the reset button. Now they're pumped up, and now they're back in it. 2 incredibly motivating rounds for the Falcons. Tie up this game, and the side swap comes in with the Falcons getting some wind at their backs. Dare I say it, under their wings.
I hope you didn't think this game was over just because we had a 3-1 lead. The Falcons have looked very good to end out that first half, Parker, and it comes off of a good tack timeout and some good prep work. Once again, that setup from Shopfire Rebellion has already been seen a few times at the Six Invitational, and despite small adaptations, Falcons knew exactly how they wanted to break it apart. They would have prepped that the night before. They had all of yesterday off, of course, to try to get their strats in order. I have heard a rumor that Eagle Me's prints approximately 200 pages for every best of 3 that they end up playing. That just shows the prep work that goes into some of these matches. Eagle Me's, of course, the head analyst for Team Falcons. So there's so much work that goes in behind the scenes. There is so much effort that gets put into prep for these strategies. And Shopify Rebellion, unfortunately, not able to adapt enough to get that 4-2 split they were looking for.
And while we take a brief moment for these teams to settle into the prep phase of this second half, let's talk a little bit about what's happening over on the B stream. Yes, we will have 2 streams running until we get to the main stage on Friday. So if you don't have the option to watch both, don't worry, we've got you covered. It was M80 versus Space Station to start off that series. And Space Station kicked M80's asses. My, that one was over before we had even finished map number 2. They started their first map after our first map, and they finished their series, I'm pretty sure, right as we were loading into Nighthaven Labs. So Space Station will move on to play Wildcard. M80 goes down to play G2.
Oh, God.
That is going to be an electrifying match. That'll be tomorrow. Loser of this current contest on your screen will go down to play Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow. The winner will be a little bit busier as they play Team Secret later today. Over on the B stream, their next match set to start in about 15 minutes or so. That'll be FaZe Clan versus the team that won earlier today of Fluxo W7.
Well, as enticing as an all-Brazilian battle is, Parker, I'm pretty locked in on this one. Shopify Rebellions and Falcons.
I am too.
Has been an insane match to start, and I think we're in for an insane next few rounds as well. 6 more in regulation and potentially 3 after that. The util game was incredible in round 1, and it will be again in round 7. It's not a Kaid trick, but a bandit instead. It was kind of funny. Falcons banned the bandit and then got tricked by Kaid. The Rebellion banned the Kaid and then get tricked by the bandit.
It is so rare that you see active bandit tricking. This is one of the few maps where if a Maverick's not brought, you can very easily bandit trick that IT wall.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to see. I might be one of the few people who genuinely get so excited for good bandit tricking. There is no way to reflect on the score sheet how important a good bandit trick is, but that singular battery might have just been able to win the round for Falcons.
Well, Ambi does have another can opener in pocket, and he is going to be able to get a breach in onto the connector wall. They're also, of course, doing good work on the IT breach. Surf with that Maverick has done a great job to be able to break that one open. It's a little slow with the DMR, but they do get the job done eventually. As the drones come in through connector, it kind of signals this is where the plant is going to be focused from. If they want to take this side of the map, they can kind of leave Raptors alone. As I say that, they are pushing there as well. So maybe just deciding that the Rebellion want a lot of different angles for this push. Spoit and Rexon over towards Raptors. They've got Ambi over towards connector as well. So a lot of different points for this push.
Denari, a great operator that could stretch through multiple rooms. You saw that there was a setup with those tripwires to slow down the advance from the Rebellion onto that Raptors position. Falcons have now determined with a minute left, we don't need that anymore. So they could break that line of sight, reinforce that other Raptors wall, set themselves up so strongly. This is a great round for Falcons. Their defensive structure is exceptional.
And here come the Candelas, Parker. This is going to be the entry point for Shopify Rebellion. How they break through. 5 players alive on both sides. How do they make the space on SR?
Canadian very worried about that Malusi Banshee. Shaiko and Solotov swinging. Ambi the only one on the board. Bride now in on the fun as well. Falcons spreading these kills around, spreading the wealth amongst all of their players. Spoit and Surf find themselves with a heady task awaiting them. What do they do? How do they get into the building? Do they even bother? Surf's found out that he dies to EFAC. A team kill is still very doable, but EFAC will find 2. Spoit gets shut down and the lead goes to the Falcons.
Not sure if there's anything structurally wrong with SR's push that time, Parker, but Falcons doing a great job of getting aggressive before the Candelas come out, before they get aggressive, and that push really begins for the North Americans. They decided they wanted to go connector rather than over towards Raptors. They had both control, but they decided that connector was going to be a bit better for them, likely due to the bandit batteries not being placed on that side of the map. But Shaiko, a disgusting shot onto Canadian of the Ying. I think that was the big one, Parker, because without your real disruption operator being used to open up that bomb site, 5v5, I think you're always just going to favor the defenders.
Well, I mean, let's focus on this a little bit, right? Usually what you do is you want to open up that IT wall first and foremost. That's goal number 1. If they're actively defending Rafters, you got to flush them out. That's usually step number 2. You want to lock down around that connector, around electrical. That's usually one of the next steps. Step 2 might not actually be step 2. That might happen later in the round. So how do you structure your defense if you're Falcons? Well, you actively hold so that they can't get value out of their hard breach gadgets. At that point in time, the Rebellion were so limited on utility and so limited on the clock that all they could really do was try to make their way in towards connector or try to take Rafters, but then that gets reinforced by Falcons later into the round. Great call and response by Falcons to shut down the Rebellion. It seems like they knew exactly what the Rebellion would do. They were very well prepped. Maybe it's in those hundreds of pages of documents you referenced. Who knows? But either way, a great read from Falcons. Strategically, an incredible round, and then their guns just mopped up the rest.
Comes off the back of great IGLing, right, to make sure that that can happen. And I know LickyFac has been working hard all year for this. After they lost the finals of, versus FaZe Clan in Boston, he tweeted, "We worked all year for this moment, but it just wasn't enough. I promise we will come stronger next year." That's what they're hoping to deliver on in the upper bracket round number 1 against Shopify Rebellion. They have taken the lead for the first time here on map 3, the first time they'll lead in the series since they won the first map. So it really does feel like Falcons are starting to bounce back, starting to make good on that promise. And it comes off some aggression. LickyFac just saw a laser, so knows someone's on the other side of that doorway, but wasn't able to commit just yet.
Extensive roam now spread out for this Falcons team as they brace for the final minute and a half of this round. An opportunity to stretch their lead, a very hard-fought lead that, well, they've yet to lead up until that previous round. So a good time for them to find their footing. And again, strategically, numbers-wise, Falcons should do better on this side. They do forfeit first blood, a minute and 30 into the round, and they have found one of the roamers on the side of Falcons, EFAC in the ground, Rebellion with a small advantage.
Good entry coming out from Ambi. Shopify Rebellion, the #1 entry team through the group stage, so we expect them to be good at striking early. Trying to convert on that now. Top floor is largely under their control. Yuza is still playing towards vending, but broadly what Shopify Rebellion wants, they have gotten. They've got now control of control. They've got storage. They've got cargo as well. They're going to want to try to walk their Monty down these cargo stairs, get a plant in behind pillar. They've got the vert that they need to make sure that doesn't get denied. The Goyos are a bit of a problem, and watch out for these goo mines too. These little things adding up. Saltov throws that goo exactly where Shopify Rebellion want to plant.
And a very default spot for teams to plant in as well. Gives you some coverage from the pillar and forces engagements on just two small angles that can easily be watched should the attackers still have control of that top floor. Now, obviously, that's never a given, but as you can see, Rexon is patrolling this site. Rexon had a very hot start. He was 10-1. He's come back down to earth, only 1-5 since then. The rest of Rebellion need to show their own powers to match his total. Serve with 1 kill, Rexon traded off, Spoit on the board. And now a big advantage for the North Americans as they continue to trade back and forth. Shaiko up against the world, down goes Ambi, missing out, not expecting Surf so close. Canadian all the while was about to get that defuse kit down, so oh boy, a 1v1 between Canadian and Shaiko would have been quite a treat. All the same, we're in for a treat because through 8 rounds, neither team with an advantage. 4-4 the scoreline, and we are going to go deep into this map.
I think Shopify Rebellion really making the most of their Kaid ban. You know, we saw them shooting those bandit batteries off of the assembly wall or from up above Parker once they had that full breach. That allows Surf to open this left panel, which gets him this frag onto Bride. The right panel is still electrified because that's how bandit works, of course. But Surf then, after he gets that pick, is able to walk in. He gets this final frag onto Shaiko to avert a disaster. We know how good Shaiko can be in some of those late round clutch spots, but just beat in that moment, and Shopify Rebellion tie us at 4.
For those that did not watch the first 2 maps, you'd know, keen observers, those with memories and brain. This is now the longest of the 3 maps.
10 seconds
Consulate
remaining.
went 10 rounds, but it was a 7-3. Fortress was quite quick. It was a 7-1, needing 8 rounds. We are in round number 9, but we know we will need at least 3 more. So bare minimum, we will go 11 of 12 rounds, but with the way these teams are playing, overtime would not surprise me in the slightest. After what we saw in Consulate, I was a little worried that it would be a quick 2-0. Not because I dislike the Falcons and not because I like the Rebellion, but because SI only happens 1 time a year and I want as many maps as is humanly possible from a competitive perspective. The fact that we might go to OT, it tickles me pink, Jesse.
The viewers deserve a few extra rounds of Shaiko versus Spoit, don't they?
I agree. Viewers, do you think you deserve OT? I think you do. Please sound off in the comments.
Well, neither of these teams want to get there. They'd like to finish this off with a regulation win and save themselves the heartbreak, but they've got to get there first. Shopify Rebellion on the attack, opening the windows, opening for Licky. Just whiffs the shot. Spoit survives with his life. Took 1 bullet to the body, but will live to tell the tale and back off towards his teammates. His teammates, in the meantime, doing work on the top floor, opening up that IT breach, getting the Twitch drones in to try to clear some of this utility as well. For the 3rd round of the row, Bride is also bringing that bandit, so there are still attempts to keep these walls closed, like over towards IT, but they've mostly dealt with that by now.
The brave swing by EFAC could have very easily been us saying, what are you doing swinging that? 2 major downsides to the SMG-11. Number 1, obviously small magazine size. Number 2, if you're hitting the body and you only hit 1 or 2 bullets, that thing is like a little kiss. It does nothing. I think it actually might heal you at that current range. That's why you can see almost no damage done to Spoit. So. Still plenty of utility now for Rebellion. They've got the bees, they've got their logic bombs. They will find this as a perfect opportunity to use 1 of each. With a minute 20 gone, Ambi firing away, Shaiko down, Surf traded out shortly thereafter. Losing the Maverick at this point in time might not be the worst operator to have in the ground. Uses 1 in 7. He's been having a bit of a tough day so far, Jesse. This round, not much better. Rebellion with a small advantage. Solitov has been phenomenal. He and Shaiko now both at 11 kills, joining Rexen, all three of them in a three-way tie for most kills. And with just under a minute to go, Falcons being able to equalize is great.
And you trade things out to a 3v3, mostly full top floor control, but watch out for Brede. He has sat himself inside of servers. Shopify Rebellion might assume they've all fallen off, and they will do so now. So they can try to work with that vert. They can try to work with the advantage that they have, but eventually this plant has to come in, and there's still a Nitro Cell being held on Falcons.
Ambi has surprised these Falcons players twice in a row, and they will pay dearly for it. Brede and EFAC, the last two standing. They've got control of Warehouse. They've got control of Rafters. Diffuse Kit in the hands of Canadian. He will trust Rexen and Ambi to watch as he gets ever closer to this bomb site. Running out of time. You will have to go for this diffuse plant. Leaky Fack and Brede will be compelled into action. They have a read inside of the site. Canadian pinged. Nitro Cell goes out. It does not connect. Ambi taking some damage. Canadian still sitting on it like a mother hen. Brede engaging. Ambi with pistol out. He's found every kill so far except for one. Brede gets shut down. A huge round from the youngster, and the Rebellion will take the lead.
And a massive round coming out from Shopify Rebellion, playing with their food a little bit, drawing their attention this way and that. The top floor clear wasn't immediately committed to by all parties. They had some bodies over towards the mid floor instead, but once they got into that 3v3, they did a great job of resetting the mental. Shopify Rebellion did not just go for the default. They didn't just jump inside a storage and say, hey, let's try to get our plant down, because it's obvious what they were going to do. Maybe they had the vert for it, but it's too predictable. So instead, they go through the breach. Canadian makes his way through that garage, gets the plants inside of assembly, chooses a really smart spot, too. He's up on the table, tucked so close that Nitro Cell isn't able to get the distance to deny the plant from Brede. That is a brilliant plant spot coming out from Big Bad Canadian. And then Ambi, he's just thriving in the chaos, Parker. He's upstairs, taking advantage of players not looking his way, hits some insane shots in the midst of that round as well. There is nobody you would rather have playing those positions than Ambizi. And a little 4K that is very deserved. Gets him up to that 11 kill total as well, Parker. 4 players now on 11, is that?
It was like when we casted Fluxo W7M 2 days ago, and there were 3 players on their team all sitting at 99 kills through this event, and it's like, which one's going to break it first? I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
10 seconds left.
Take a look. Is it going to be Volps? Is it going to be Palu? Is it going to be Lobin? Lobin was the one we were watching because he had far and away the most kills in the team. He was the last one of the 3 to break 100 kills. For those who didn't tune in to Fortress, Shaiko joining a very elite group of players, breaking 1,000 kills at the Six Invitational. Souls broke that same number just 2 days before. They're all in great company. Most kills at SI. Is it Nesk? Is it Cyber? Who cares? Both of them. Absolutely unbelievable. Nesk announcing his retirement a month ago. So Cyber has an opportunity to continue to add to that tally. Cyber's team of FaZe Clan is about to be in action over on the B stream as they play up against Fluxo W7M. An all Brazilian bonanza that will be intriguing to watch, and you and I will be watching it once Falcons Rebellion kicks.
Yeah, I'm going to end this one out first, but we might be here for a while, Parker, as these rounds have been going back and forth. And for round 10, of course you're going to see the Bandit Band come out. There's no surprise from Shopify Rebellion as they want to remove that last wall denial operator. So Falcons, they're going to take a different approach. Instead of denying the walls, they can try to deny the plant, slow you down a little bit. Brede jumping on that Tachanka instead of what we've seen him play over on the Bandit. Use this on the Clash. Soltov on the Azami. These are all operators that are going to be really annoying for Shopify Rebellion to get past, to get that map control, to get space where they need to get the plant down. And without Surf existing either, that's not going to do it. A good night comes out from Lickifag. Not sure if we're able to get the replay on that, but must have hit a brilliant shot out the IT breach to down a Glads with the Scorpion.
Scorpions have just been the weapon of the day, haven't they been?
Yeah.
Being rocked by both Ella and Denari reminds me a lot of that TCSG duo threat of both Goyo and Kaid. We saw that in 2020, and that was a huge part of what made NIP such formidable competitors as they used them very effectively. That was back when there were much more limited options for caliber destruction as well. So you almost always had to bring a smoke or a mute to do site rotation, but if you had a Kaid and a Goyo, it wasn't exactly falling on those British ops. 1 minute to go, down goes Shaiko. Ambi with the super shorty out engaging as the Brava getting ever closer. Now Ambi on 12 kills leading the lobby.
flanked up through Meeting Hall, Parker. It caught them off guard as most of this push is coming Rafters, it's coming IT. No good plant spot for Canadian that he's found so far.
And Bride takes a world of hurt from those fire arrows. Now out comes the smoke for Spoit, waiting for it to land as he gingerly looks across. Rexon gets punished by Solotov. Rexon is having a bit of a rough go of it after those first triumphant rounds. EFAC now taking some serious damage as Rebellion realize they have to get going. They're at the mercy of the clock. They're at the mercy of this Falcons team. They're at the mercy of just about everything that this bomb site can give them. Ambi vacates the premises as Solotov collects his third kill. No more for him as Ambi takes him down, but very limited time. Falcons attempting to knock them off their stride as Ambi gets another, but it's relatively impactless. The fingers in chat as the Falcons try to get under the skin of the Rebellion. Back and forth we go. Falcons will equalize. The rounds that the Rebellion are winning are pretty flashy, desperate scrambles. The rounds that the Falcons are winning are nowhere near as exciting. They look so routine.
Yeah.
But dear God, are they a scary squad. We will go all the way as it's a 5-5 scoreline. Next round, series point.
I mean, this top floor bomb site's so hard to get into, Parker. They had all the space they could have wanted. Shot by Rebellion. They were in IT. They were in Rafters. They were in Electrical. Didn't have the connector breach, but ultimately they just could not get into the bomb site. All the Shamika fire coming out from Bride. All the Kiba barriers coming out as well. And Solotov, a nice little three-piece in the midst of it. Just good, solid site play happening from the Falcons, and it will tie the match up here at 5. We expected this one to go long. It will continue to deliver on that promise. Solotov up to 12 kills, Ambi up to 14, but not good enough for a lead.
10 seconds left.
Uses entered this series with a +5 KD, allowing Bride in particular to take a more prominent support role, but it's been Uses who's been stuck on a lot of these thankless, low frag, high agency, but low action roles, particularly on defense. And his numbers are suffering for it. Over the last 2 maps, at the conclusion of Fortress, now through 10 rounds, Uses just has 3 kills. Now, he's not the reason why the Falcons are doing so poorly, but it is intriguing to me to see that Falcons are using him in a far more sheltered position. Bride, to his credit, has been doing very well from a kill perspective. So it looks like, based on the map, that flexibility can help this Falcons team. But part of me just wants a little bit more out of Uses.
Yeah, I mean, as the support duo, Uses and Bride can kind of have that flexibility, even though we don't always see it out of Uses. He definitely can step up and provide utility when that's required from him. Opportunities limited for this round as he's also on the Clash. This is, again, going to be more of a direct site hit, Parker. They're going to run into Uses sooner rather than later because Shopify Rebellion have no interest in clearing these roamers. They know they exist. They've seen them running across the map, but they just want to take control of Cafeteria, get down these vending stairs, get into Exo, and try to force some kind of a plant. Liquifac's angle is going to make that quite difficult. He is looking down in towards vending, so he's got a strong spot to play on this map, and that's why Canadian might be wanting to go up top now. A bit of a pivot halfway through this round as they clear the top floor.
Nitro Cell will go out. Canadian turns very well, blocking that explosive damage as he's now in pursuit of Solotov, who manages to get away. Canadian wise enough to see that there were bullets coming from multiple angles, and Spoit is there for good coverage. Down goes Liquifax. Solotov will join him. Falcons suffering through 2 losses in very quick order, and those are 2 very good players. Liquifac's numbers might not be anything particularly stellar at this moment, but you know he can go on a heater at a moment's notice. I'm a little worried if I'm a fan of this EU team.
Well, it's a really good clear from Shotfire Rebellion. I don't think it was being expected by Falcons. Canadian makes the space on the blitz. Ambi follows it up with some really nice frags. Puts them in a good spot to make this push happen without worrying about the flank, without worrying about the vert angles that'll be facing them if they want to go down those vending stairs. 45 seconds is a bit of a problem. It took them time to clear those roamers. That's the one advantage Falcons have going into this execute. They need to play the clock.
And there's another Nitro Cell to go out. This one will do some damage to Canadian, but he still remains. A nice attempt from Bride. Rexon taking a beating. Shaiko taken down. Bride falls. The Rebellion get out of that one without losing a single player, flawlessly moving us to series point for the North Americans.
And Parker, that's a strong IGL leading a team of ridiculously talented players. They push through the top floor. They push through the bottom floor. didn't have to force a plant there. They knew that planting wasn't going to be their easiest task. The time was way too low, so they said, let's just flash everybody, make sure no one can see, get in, get those kills. Perfectly played from SR, and they are now on series point, tempting fate to knock Falcons down to the lower bracket in the very first round, just like G2, just like W7M, and just like FaZe Clan before them.
Would be an incredible run. If you want to lift the hammer on home soil, what's a little adversity in the process, right? A lot of good teams will go down to that lower bracket. Only one team will make it to the finals from that upper bracket, so what a gauntlet it would be for Falcons. Ditto for the Rebellion. This won't be an easy run for either of these squads. You know that Ninjas in Pajamas are sitting watching this matchup. They have the day off today. They will be fighting for their lives tomorrow. They will face one of these two teams. There's no winning here. It's not like Nip is like, we need this team to lose. Maybe they match up particularly against Rebellion versus Falcons. You don't really know. But the real story is Team Secret. One of the most dominant teams, if not the most dominant team that we have seen outside of maybe Weibo Gaming. They play the winner of this match. So if you're the Rebellion, you get this one over, you got maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, until you have to go up against the beasts from EU. Falcons will have a lot more familiarity with them, so there will be a little bit less prep required because of all the times they clash in the EML, but no matter which of these teams wins, they will have their work cut out for them.
The Beast from EU is sometimes a title that goes to this Falcons squad. Of course, so much international success over the last couple of years. So many second place finishes that weren't able to get converted, and now danger of not even making it to that second place. Ambi, 16 kills. The young gunner of Shopify Rebellion at 19, playing in his 3rd Invitational, hoping that this one can be the one where he goes all the way. The mid-floor bomb site is what gets chosen for Falcons. It's the one that's still left open. It's the one that Shopify Rebellion will have to close out for a 7-5 win. IT's been no problem. There are still players up at the top floor. Shaiko in Warehouse going to be the big issue. He's in Raptors. He was slammed on that angle with the Kiba previously, so he's got to be careful about where he positions himself. 2 Kibas in pocket, but it's his teammate. It's Uzis still on that top floor to strike first. He will take down Spoit and give the early advantage to Falcons.
And just a seesaw of a match. Technically 3 consecutive rounds won by Falcons, but that was after the side swap. There has not been a team that has won more than 2 consecutive rounds on either of these halves. Rebellion knocking Spoit off of the, or Spoit being knocked off the board for Rebellion is particularly bad, but there are still players on Rebellion who can shoot back. Ambi sitting at 16 kills right now has really come online through this final 4 rounds, final 5 rounds that we've seen. Another huge round out of him might be enough to tip the scale.
Watch out the clock, Shopify Rebellion. They know they've got full top floor control. It was conceded by the Falcons. They're doing a good job of clearing util so far, but they only have 1 more boogie drone to work with. This control room plant could be a little bit appealing to them, but they've still got to clear out a lot of these player positions. A couple of Grim Bees from Rexon, the shields from Canadian. All the util is there, but it has to get put together.
And I don't know if they have any intel on Canadian, how close he is in proximity to this A-bomb site. He'll take down the default cams, march his way on in, flashed by his own teammate, but is still in a powerful position. He's got the Legion now on the run, dancing around that goo mine. The pulse of EFAC down below can be oh so crucial here. Canadian knows a thing or two about expecting a pulse. Time running out, Jesse. Down goes Uzis. Surf will join him. Falcons fighting for their lives. Very limited time left. Canadian getting the plant down. Good coverage so far. Brede comes in. Rexon will need to close this out as the diffuser goes down. Nitro cell tossed. It secures Canadian. Rexon had a stellar start to this map. He fell off through the mid portion. How does he do now in the dying moments? Getting himself up above the defuse kit. EFAC will also retake from above, trying to gain as much time as possible for his teammate Brede to hop on that defuse kit, which he will do. Rexon now rotating on over. Brede off of the plant. Rexon gets the right call. Now just waiting out the time, expecting the swing. A good job from Rexon, but EFAC is there, sending us into overtime. He has but a few seconds, but he makes it work. The captain and Frenchman with the Falcon punch to send us to overtime.
Is your heart beating yet? Falcons barely clutch us up to send us all the way into extra innings. That was a ridiculous play coming out from them. I thought it was over when they let the plant go down, Parker. They had the pulse down below. They should have been able to stop it. It felt like the blunder. With the time running out from SR, with the stall they had on that top floor, it really felt like Falcons WinCon was denying that plant, but they managed to wrestle the man count back in the 2v1. Rexon, he played that as well as he could, but in the end, they played it too perfectly on the side of Falcons. One gets off the disable, they flank up those Aqua stairs. I mean, they played that to a T how you need to in the 2v1.
What a story in that final round. Rexon amassing 10 of his 11 kills in the first 10 minutes of this map.
Yeah.
And then going completely invisible from that point onward. And he very narrowly gets a 3K to send his team further up the upper bracket. But then the captain, who's had a bit of a quiet game himself, gets it done with seconds left on the clock. And now we've got at least 2, maybe 3 rounds between these Titans. A nail-biter of a third map to determine who faces Team Secret in the upper bracket and who goes down to fight for their lives against Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow. Oh my. What a story.
Parker, rounds 14 and 13 will certainly be played on the top floor bomb sites. Whilst this map has been 50-50, we've seen 6 attacking round wins and 6 defending round wins. The top floor still has a 100% defender win rate. Shopify Rebellion and Falcons both found their strength defending this bomb site. It will be the pick for Shopify Rebellion. It will for Falcons 2 in round 14. If things continue on that trend, if the defense continues to hold strong on top floor, the 15th bomb site could be anything. But you've got to get to that point first, and if either of these teams can win an attack in the next 2 rounds, they are looking so good for walking away with the 8-6 win. Shopify Rebellion bringing out the Clash once again for Canadian, hoping to stall these players out once they get in towards the site. Spoit loving the tuber out. Didn't really play the operator on this site before today, but now has played it almost every time that they've needed to defend the top floor. Licky back down below takes the first bit of damage, is making too much noise with the Deimos.
Being able to answer back from that play down on that bottom floor, oh so strong. Rexon, what a performance from him. It actually does look like he did end up getting the 3K with Bride. My math was a little off, but I mean, you can't blame me with what happened in that previous round. Halfway point, not a single person dead, a much slower pace. Remember when Falcons turned things around in that first half? It was the tempo that really helped them. Julio called the timeout and said, guys, we need to go faster. We're just playing like individuals. We're way too slow. We need to be aggressive together. Rounds 5 and 6 were Falcons going for the throats. Both opportunities, and they came out ahead against the Rebellion. Now it looks like they're going back to old form, which is a bit concerning for friends of this EML team, because when they were slow, they might have been steady, but they did not win the race.
Spoit being tracked, now they know where he's at. Leaky Fact down below is going to be the target to try to hunt him down. They are still playing in Rafters, but they give it up. Won't be able to reinforce that wall. It's taken too quickly by the Falcons, but they strike first. Spoit finds Shaiko in the head-to-head matchup to start us in overtime.
2 giants colliding. Spoit playing in EML for long enough. He knows these players. Leaky Fact will trade right back. Looking for more. Solitov will gun down one. Spoit now staring as Surf swings into action. Down goes the Turk on the side of Falcons. Under 30 seconds to go, and neither team now with the numbers advantage. Back to even footing. A Deimos track will come out to push Surf out of his position, but they already knew that the smoke would be playing over towards that Aqua side. Surf taking a lot of damage from that volcanic canister. Diffuser going down. Bride will pull this one off. Where is the panic on the side of Rebellion? No urgency whatsoever. Surf living on borrowed time. A good lockout from Falcons as they have the cross established. It will really just come down to these gunfights. Bride in particular in a very advantageous position. Rebellion stalling out. They've done almost nothing for 20 seconds. Just being fed into Bride, who sits over top of the case. He uses sweeps through, and now it's series point for the Falcons.
Parker, that's one of the most beautiful rounds to watch from a top-down POV. Everything Falcons had to do there, they did. Shopify Rebellion still with a tack timeout in their pocket. Do they take it here as their opponents hold series point? We'll give it a second to see if it comes through before we dive into the analysis of that round, because you've got to imagine it is on the docket for Super.
Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Listen, I think this round we should just get IT, ace open the rafter wall, and we play the Ying to take fish, and we just work that side, okay? I think that's all we need to do. Pretty simple. They have no denial. Just be careful of Valk. If there's a Valk, he'll obviously go under, but if we plant safe, we're fine there. For command, when we win this round, go back to command. We should be reinforcing off the rafter wall, I think. I think that was honestly the only mistake. They just keep finishing con side. They're super slow. We just need to make sure we have a plan. We can bring a late
I can't
C4
play
even.
pillar because of how they do it then, though. Because this guy can just go Jarvis, and the cap is on the con side, so we can't set
I think you could just bring a Goyo or extra denial or a C4 under.
Okay.
Or like Valk under or something.
Yeah, that's
Sounds good. Let's go.
Let's
Get
go,
guys.
Let's go, boys.
Strategies being given. Last couple of rounds, they know they've got 2 to win, Parker. That's the critical factor for Shopify Rebellion. They've given up an attack on the top floor defense. You heard Super say it. They're going to play it again in round 15, assuming they can get that far. But that push from Falcons, it was just so clean. With that Raptors breach open, and that's what Canadian and Super were talking about. With that wall open, it gave them the perfect crossfire because they cleared the players out of pillar, they cleared the players out of close electrical, and it was just 3 guys inside of the other bomb site trying to hold on to that. But still, you saw 2 players locking things down. Brede with the plant down. I believe it was Usus inside of IT that were looking at each other. It was an impossible task to cross through there. Previously, we've seen Shopify Rebellion clutch it up with a Nitro cell, but Spoit wasted his Nitro earlier in the round, tossing it at the Deimos towards bottom rafters. That was a big waste of utility that didn't find the value he was looking for. And the one bomb site that had yet to be broken does crack.
And your point about that Nitro cell goes back to the comment that I made about the Bandit battery. A single piece of utility, either used perfectly or used improperly, can have a profound effect on the outcome of a round, and sometimes there is no stat on the screen that will show you just how vital that decision was in either guaranteeing a win or costing you the round. So we try to impart this wisdom on you as best as we can. Who makes the fewest mistakes in this round? Falcons sitting on series point. Rebellion, dare I say it, have looked like the better team through this series, but they still might end up coming up just a bit short. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which team looked the best. It's the team that is the best. And right now, Falcons have the slight lead in that regard.
I think Surf on this glass is going to be critical. It was apparently a beautiful shot that shut him down on the IT breach last time they wanted to go for this play. He was the opening death playing up on that glass. He needs to stay alive for longer this time. He's got to get value out of those smokes. Now, there's been some adaptations from Falcons. They've brought out the Warden. They didn't have this previously, so they're shifting their op lineup around in order to expect what Shopify Rebellion might want to bring. IT breach hasn't been a problem. They've started to open this up now. They're playing very safe as they shoot that Gone 6 in through the breach to clear out the camera utility. The question becomes, do we go for Rafters? Do we go for Connector? It seems like Rafters is the call.
Ambi was instrumental at getting opening picks when the Rebellion had to attack. He's where my eyes will be. He brings in that sledge. He loves soft destruction, but the nades, the gun, that will be oh so important. And it looks like he might be focusing a bit on that Aqua side. Falcons cannot panic now as they respond to that smoke that's used over towards IT with some Kiba barriers to block things in. Canadian eliminating Solitov, and he's got another player there, but it's the clash of Usus. Those bullets will bounce over the shield. Efax Nitro Cell goes out, doesn't find anything. A quick retreat from this Falcons team. Heading back towards CC, but still persisting on the clash for the time being. How long does Efax stay? And more importantly, does he overstay as well?
Boy, he needs to get an angle on the back of this clash, but he's got to use these Capital bolts to give himself a little bit of safety, too. The rest of Shopify Rebellion are Raptors and IT, so these players need some help.
Candela will go off. Efac engaging the smart goggles. Down goes Surf. So all the while, the rest of the Falcons players are still responding to this push. You cannot get bogged down if you're the Rebellion, and it doesn't look like that's the case at all. Usus puts the shield away. 4 consecutive kills for the Rebellion, and a 15th round will be needed for these 2 juggernauts to determine a victor.
Spoit did it. He hit the gas. He walked in through the Rafters breach and forced 2 kills in for his team. Everybody was focused on what was happening Aqua side. The clash was looking that way. A lot of the other defenders were worried about that, but instead it was the Rafters push that came through. They didn't have the defuse kit, but they provided that second dimension to the execute. Really good push from Shopify Rebellion. Both teams now doing what they couldn't in regulation and winning the top floor bomb sites.
Doesn't this always happen, though?
It always happens like this.
We go, okay, defenders win 5-1, and then we side swap, and oh my god, the defenders won 5 again. And then all 3 rounds of overtime are attacked.
Literally.
And you're like, what happened here? It needs to be studied in a lab at this point in time. Now, Super made a big gamble. He trusted his team to win that round, and he talked about what are we going to do when we defend here again.
Yes.
Like you pointed out, you got to get there first. Half of the job has now been done. We are going to see the theory crafting that has been done on the side of the Rebellion. Does it work out? Because the last time they attacked, Falcons sunk their talons into this B bomb site. Brede not flinching at all. He would not release his grip in such a strong spot. The strategy was great. You can't let them do that again.
I agree. I think the Rebellion need to stop this push before they can get the plant down, before they can get their crossfire set up. That needs to be the goal for SR. That 3v3 post plant in round 13 just was not winnable when Falcons played it correctly. So Shopify Rebellion looking to strike early. That doesn't mean they got to get aggressive, although they do have Canadian on the pulse. Ambi not too far away from his captain, so potentially looking to guide an aggressive move. But for now, SR happy to sit on their hands and play their spots in the bomb site. You're going to have Spoit inside of Rafters. The first time this map that he's not playing Tubarão in this position, by the way, finally bringing out the Azami, which of course is the more common pick. Often a third ban that we see teams bring out to try to deny this position, but Spoit will bring it out here in the 15th round. IT Breach opens on up, and they start to get set up to clear through Spoit.
One big move they did was the Canadians said, I can't play on that spawn as Clash, right? So what do? They bring the Pulse.
Yes.
A very killer operator for him. I mean, he's got a Pulse skin in the game from EG for crying out loud.
This is an early reinforcement from Spoit. 2 minutes still on the clock, and he decides to concede that space. Doesn't want to take the gamble, doesn't want to allow himself to potentially go down to Falcons.
This is very similar to what Falcons did when they were defending this site back in, I think it was round number 8, round number 9, when they realized there would be no Rafters focus. Let's just box things up and stall them elsewhere. Falcons obviously knew that very effectively. Now Rebellion are trying to do the same thing. Will it work?
I think this push is going to come connector side, Parker. I'm looking at the top down, and I do see Brede with the defuse kit on that side of the map. That's where Likifac is underneath right now as well. So trying to force some of these players out. They will track the pulse. Information being given on both sides, but it's Ambi who's able to strike first. He went down the lobby stairs, and he gets that pick.
And he's giving them a big sigh of relief. Down goes the Deimos, down goes Likifac, a man who knows how to clutch out. Ambi close to breaking 20 kills, an absolutely Herculean effort from him to give his team every advantage possible.
Ambi on the Aqua stairs, was able to get that frag, and now they're in a very strong position. Solotov falls next. It's Rexton with the long angle in the TCSG. Canadians in some trouble inside the site. He does go down, Parker, but they still have numbers.
And Brede's still there. This is a tenuous grasp on the site for Falcons. They were able to succeed in a similar position before. Does lightning strike twice? Shaiko searching for a kill. He finds Surf, dances around the bullets. Brede getting diffuser down. It looks like history is about to repeat itself, Jesse. They managed to pull it off. Shield goes away from Uzis. Now holding against the Hordes. Rebellion with 3 players ascending the stairs. Rexton goes, Spoit follows. Ambi swept through, and it happens again. An incredible performance as the Falcons soar onward. My God, an incredible final round from the EML squad.
There's no stopping these demons, Parker, at least until they get to the grand finals. The Falcons are in full form at the Six Invitational. It is identical to round 13, where they get the bomb site around Pillar, they have the plant go down, and the post plant just is not doable in the 3v3.
I mean, that's going to be one you think back on for a long, long time. Hey, if you're fans of Falcons and you're hoping for a lower bracket Destiny run, you're now cheering for Team Secret to knock them down there in their matchup later today. Shopify Rebellion go down to the lower bracket. That's it for them. They will play up against Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow.